Thank you for your patience, guys. I will be with you in a minute. Twitch, on my end at least, seems to be having some issues. I'm trying to fix those. Yeah, thank you for waiting. Okay, I think we're good. I think I fixed...
Okay, I think we're
Oh,
good.
my phone. Sorry. My phone was unmuted and running my stream for some reason. I think I fixed all the issues. When did you get to 7.4k Krokens? That is a good question. Maybe not this weekend, but like sometime within this month, I want to set up some Kroken rewards. Because right now there's nothing to really use them on. So, okay, let's go over what we're doing today, right? Let's go to, ooh, hopefully I didn't just leak anything. Oh, none of this looks important. It's probably fine. I wanted to go here. Well, actually, I want to go here. Okay, so, there is a Google Doc that just got dropped on some poor guy. I didn't even know who he was. His name's Imperfect. He makes music, I guess, for Roblox games. I don't actually know what most of these games are, but I do recognize like Forsaken. I think I've heard of Die of Death, but I don't know if I've ever played it. Yeah, mostly just Forsaken stuff, I think. Well, he makes music, and it's actually pretty good. But one thing you have to realize is that, let's open this. Hope I don't accidentally flash anyone because it's Twitter. This guy is a year younger than me. Girl, guy, I don't know. But, okay, he/any. So yeah, I'll be using he/him for this. Yeah, so that basically already tells you a lot of what you need to know about this drama. He has already responded. I'm gonna be referring to this person as she, or sunnydaytune, probably just Sunny, I guess. You're still on the start soon screen. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, should be better. Yeah, so this person dropped a doc just out of nowhere saying, "Call out document on imperfect. Please read through as it contains the sides for multiple people, including my own." So this doc, if you try to visit it now, it got mass reported and Google actually took it down. The good news is I kind of expected this would happen because I saw it was getting a lot of hate. So I made a copy last night and yeah, so as far as I know, I'm probably not the sole owner of this document, but I'm one of the only people who own it at this point. I would think it's safe to say, but yeah. So I would say not to give either of these people like crap, you know, like don't harass them or anything. But if you are gonna harass someone, harass this person, because listen, I haven't read it yet, but from the things I've seen, it just seems like completely just petty drama, you know, like this could have easily been resolved in private, or like you know, like releasing I'm basically always against releasing a Google Doc for your problems until after the situation's been resolved and heads are level and everyone's calmed down a little bit. But I mean, yeah, like we got tabs here. We've got experience section with evidence, which let me tell you, this is not a good way to make a Google Doc, right? Like we'll get into that a little bit more. But I'm kind of just excited to read this. I don't know. One thing, though, I would like to give a full disclaimer that usually when I read this stuff, I'm usually very on the side of the person getting accused, at least at first, because I believe that everybody is guilty until proven innocent, beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So, like, if there is like you might have noticed when I was reading the pressure one, I'm like, well, okay, but why did this person not take this to court? Like, why did they put it on a Google Doc if he like legitimately raped her? And you know, I'm not trying to discredit the victim when I do this. I'm trying to sort of play devil's advocate, because I've been on the side of being accused of something that, like, you know, either I didn't do or wasn't worth being accused for. And it's not good, you know, like, because people tend to just believe the victims, and, you know, I think that's a good thing most of the time, but there also has to be a voice that's like you know, like, okay, but what if this person's not telling the truth? Like, what does this person have to gain, like, if this was a lie, you know? So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing I would like to say is that I do not know how long I'll be able to stream. My mom just had surgery, and I've been, well, I guess it was just yesterday, so I haven't been, but I will have to be doing a lot of the chores around my house and like cooking meals and stuff. So yeah, I may have to end the stream prematurely, but I mean, I think both of these docs are pretty short, so we should be able to get through all of them. There's a lot of text, though. Like, the last doc I did was mostly screenshots. These ones are, like, mostly text, I think. Anyways, yeah, let's get started. So, I believe these two people broke up at some point, by the way. Like, I think they were dating and they broke up. I think that's their dynamic. Note, this part of the doc was my experience before I had gotten in contact with a few others about their experiences. I will do my best to explain those things later on, but I'd like to keep this section here purely because it was my honest perspective of everything before I found out about everything else. Evidence and videos will be included later on, so please read this anyways. I need to have, like, a water bottle ready. I'm gonna be doing a lot of talking this stream. 1 second. Alright. We're good. And this is a disclaimer for everyone watching. There are mentions of manipulation and 18+ topics in this document, which I actually don't think anything in here is too serious. Definitely not anything worth releasing a doc over, but if you're sensitive to that stuff, you might want to take this as your warning. There will be other streams, you know, like, you don't have to watch this one. So please read carefully. I will not be going in depth about the suggestive things because it was something that was quite scary for me, and it was enough that it was already exposed without me knowing beforehand. Sorry, I just woke up. I've still kind of got morningness in my throat. Hello, I would like to talk about my experience with Imperfect publicly because his behavior has gotten to the point where I'm scared he'll say or show something personal publicly. That seems a little hypocritical. Which he has threatened to do. And the general fact that other people can be very easily put into the spot that I was, the way that I was treated was genuinely unfair, and to put it simply, I don't think someone this ignorant and irresponsible deserves a platform of any sort. Many people have tried to confront him about these things, and he only digs himself into a deeper hole, deflecting and projecting onto said people. This situation has been widespread enough, and I truly don't know how far it's gone. I've wanted to trust the word of his close friends, but it's hard to believe they even truly know the extent of how I was treated, especially considering how much he lied to and about me. These aren't things I can just move on from, especially with the repetitive behavior he's displayed even after he was confronted. To this, I will say I'm sorry to those who were wrongfully included, who especially had no idea the extent of his lies. This was very unfair to you, and I genuinely did my best to be there for him, only to be met with this extremely toxic, selfish, and borderline grooming behavior. And I mean, they're kind of the same age. I guess there's a power dynamic there, but I mean, really, he's a music artist, right? How much power does he have? Okay, so one thing I'd like to bring up here is that there are ways to make an exposure Google Doc, like how to make it good, you know? There are 3 things I can think of, which is A, to provide a lot of like solid proof and like receipts and screenshots and stuff. It looks like there's some of that going on here. Oh yeah, okay, there's actually quite a bit, but oh. Wow, okay. Hopefully I can show that on stream. I actually don't know. Okay. What are all these typos? Jeez Louise, how do you... Okay, well, the other thing is that, the other thing you can do is make your document very professional, you know? Like, none of these emoticons, no personal opinions, like, just try to keep it to only the facts, and let the people reading draw their own decisions, right? Like, you don't, if you're doing it that way, you don't want to tell people what to think. This document is clearly not done that way, which brings me to my 3rd thing that you can do. If you don't want to do the 2nd thing, the 3rd thing you can do is appeal to human nature, you know, and like, be a good storyteller. And you know, like, tell someone like what you were going through, like what you were experiencing. This will include a lot of personal experiences and are probably better for a type of doc like this. But the thing is, you still have to make sure like you've got proper grammar to you know, make sure people take you seriously, and you gotta make sure you're actually a good storyteller, so you're not coming off like a liberal child, you know. Which I don't think this person has done from what I've seen, but we'll get to that anyways. Please read this very thoroughly, as I will do my best to not leave anything out. I apologize in advance if this is messy, that it is, but this has been going on since December, and it's been a lot for me. I've lost people over this relationship, and I've done my best for him, but I was still treated horribly. So I mean, right off the bat, this is just like not a good opening. Like, not that I'm like an English professor or anything, but I've written my fair share of essays in the past for school and whatnot, and like, you didn't even really say what he did, right? Like, when you're opening something like this, what you want is a good introduction, which, I mean, like, this is not. Like, it doesn't even tell you who this person or who Imperfect is, and that's actually something I had to Google myself because I wasn't sure. So that was failed. This is not really a good hook, honestly. Like, I mean, I guess an exposure doc is a good enough hook in and of itself, like a good enough reason to get people to read. But the other thing is that it doesn't really say what he does. Like, extremely toxic, selfish, and borderline grooving behavior. Like, you gotta be a little more specific than that. You know, not that I'm this person's English teacher. I'll just keep reading. I'm sorry. My relationship with Imperfect started off very roughly, as I made it clear to him that I had given up on dating because of a prior experience I was recovering from. My life was healthy at this point, ignoring the issues coming up from said situation. It was very hard for me to see the value in a relationship. I was able to be alone comfortably. I ended up telling him that I thought about being poly. This is simply because I just liked showing affection to my friends, but I didn't necessarily confirm this. I just said I might be. See, like, this is what I mean by, like, being a good storyteller. Immediately, they're taking you out of the story to clarify on something that really did not need clarification, you know? Is this a letter I wrote? No, unfortunately. My writing isn't nearly this fabulous. What have you missed so far? Basically nothing. I'm I'm basically grading this person's exposure doc is what's happening here. I like to show my affection to my friends too, but they don't really like it. Yeah, man, for some reason when I like grope my friends, they actually like start distancing themselves. I don't know what's up with that. Anyways, I didn't necessarily confirm this, I just said I might be, to which he took this very personally and even insulted me for it. See, another thing, I wish they had included the screenshots with this, because now I'm gonna have to like after I read all this, I'm gonna have to go through here and like read all this stuff and be like, oh, so is this when this happened? This is not how to make a Google Doc. Man, you guys are missing peak. What have you missed in the last 10 minutes? You've been AFK. I'm basically grading this person's call-out document. This was after... Okay, look, parentheses right after parentheses. That's another thing. Oops. It's another thing you don't really want, but, you know, teach their own. This was after he had already spent a few hundred on me without me asking. Yo, I would like more context for that. Why isn't there parentheses for that? I would like to know what he spent a few hundred on. Who is imperfect? See, that is a great question that this document does not explain at all. He is a music artist who makes music for Forsaken and also Grace, I guess? Oh, I didn't see that before. And also Die of Death, which I've never played, but I think I've heard of. And then this is from his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, which they just straight up, Griffinelia. Yeah. I mean, this document just straight up does not introduce you to either of them. I had to also figure out through context that this person was the former lover of Imperfect, which I guess the document will hopefully talk on, but, you know, the introduction does not really tell you that. This changed my mind because it made me feel even more disgusted than I had already felt about myself. And it's important to note with how many gifts he was showering me in, of course I was willing to go with whatever he said. This will be a recurring point. I know that's technically a grooming tactic, but the thing is, these two people are both adults, right? Like, they're both 18. They should know that at this point in life, that someone giving you gifts does not mean you have to do things for them. Anyways, this was a very important time for me as I was still figuring myself out and was even thinking of giving up on relationships completely. At this point, he had skewed my view of the line between friendly affection and relationship-wise, and this bled into a lot of my friendships, as saying that I loved them was practically routine, because I did. I care for my friends deeply, and he didn't like this at all. It only went downhill from there. Okay, wait, so are they dating yet or not? Like, because this is at the beginning of the relationship, because if they're dating and this person said they're poly, I think it's fair for him to be upset at that, you know? But it's honestly really hard to tell whether or not they're already dating at this point. Saying I love them was practically routine. Like, I feel like he wouldn't have been mad about that if they weren't dating. But then it's like, well, that's completely fair that he was mad about you telling him you might be poly. Like, if I was in a relationship and my girlfriend's like, oh yeah, actually, I want to date other guys, I'd be like, hell no, dude. I'm poly, you're not poly though, get it? Yeah, exactly. Personally, Google Doc exposals should be for, like, sending to actual people to deal with something. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, that has always been my stance. If something is serious enough to warrant a Google Doc exposure, then you take it to the authorities, right? And then, like, after that, if you want to, you can release a Google Doc with, like, you know, like, everything that happened, what happened, like, because not only have they like not been proven guilty or anything, but like you're also possibly making it harder for yourself if they file like defamation charges, or if you decide to file charges later, because like a lot of things lawyers will tell you to just shut up, you know, like you don't want to talk too much because then you risk like getting your story messed up on itself. And if something's not bad enough to take to court, then it doesn't really deserve a Google Doc, right? Like, there are bad things people can do, but I have a hard time thinking of anything that's like so bad that you should genuinely like displatform someone for it, that you can't take them to court for, um that's my stance on it anyways. And yeah, like most of this stuff can just be taken care of in private. Like a lot of this is like, yeah, anyways, what drama doc dropped? It's a Forsaken music dev getting accused, and it's like petty drama. It's nothing serious, I don't think. I mean, I'm in the middle of reading it, so I'm not positive, but I haven't seen anything like super damning. You find it weird that they separate the evidence from the text? Yeah, I know. That's what I was just saying a minute ago. Like, it would have been a lot better if, like, this part here, there was a part up here that I was like, okay, well, I wish I saw the screenshot with that, because now I'm going to have to dig through that. Yeah, I completely agree with that. The living sentient box. Anyways, at this point, he had skewed my view of the line between friendly affection and relationship-wise. I read all that. Yeah, okay. I care for my friends deeply, and he didn't like this at all. It only went downhill from there, both between me and him and me and my friends. I ended up having to set up boundaries for everyone I knew for him to feel even slightly comfortable, and he still wasn't. Okay, so they are dating at this point, right? Like, I feel like... see, this is why I really wish the evidence was with this, because, like, I want to see how exactly he phrased this. Like, was he, like, doing it in, like, an abusive way, or was he just being like, hey, this doesn't make me comfortable, like, I feel uncomfortable with you doing this, if you could please stop, I would appreciate that. But I digress, let's keep reading. Even taking that out on me, it got to a point where I couldn't talk to people with the constant guilting and whining about how me being affectionate towards my friends made him jealous. Also, I almost feel like you can't really completely blame him for that. I hope they are dating at that point. Yes, if they're not dating, that is an issue. But considering they're bringing up, like, he's, like, jealous about it, I would assume at this point they're dating. And honestly, from what I've read, I don't even fully blame the guy. Like, I know this might be kind of controversial in the modern time, but if my girl was like, I think I'm poly, and then was like, telling people she loved them, I would be a little uncomfortable with that too, I can't lie. But, like I said, like, to each their own, but genuinely, a lot of this so far just sounds like really bad miscommunication. Yeah, Imperfect might think they're dating, but the doc writer might not. I think there's a solid chance. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this doc is very poorly structured and poorly written. At some point, even trying to introduce him to a close friend of mine, he went behind my back to them and told them to back off of me. As I stated before, this contemplation about what I had wanted for a relationship was just something I wanted to figure out on my own. But I communicated that to him, and he just didn't have anything nice to say about it, even saying he didn't want anything to do with me in that way, which, while I understand, was still just cool to say in that way. Okay, like, I really need some clarification on this, man, because I genuinely have no idea if they're dating or not at this point. Because this is all red flags if they're not dating from Imperfect, but it's red flags from the author if they are dating at this point, Anyways. I later obviously realized that I wasn't poly, I just wanted to love my friends. He did not like this idea and still took it as me wanting to date them. He still refused to believe this and had brought it up often during arguments, and during a meeting in person, pressured me to show him my DMs with someone. Someone I stopped talking to for him because he didn't like them. More on this later. Because I feel like there is definitely a line between, like, setting boundaries with your significant other and, like, being too controlling. But, we don't actually get to see whether or not that boundary is crossed, because all the evidence is in this separate tab, completely separated from all this witness testimony, They aren't dating, but maybe fooling around. She's a polyploid with no boundaries. That's crazy, but yeah, I think I could understand that. That sounds probably like the most likely thing. Once again, I just wish it was something that was, like, clarified on a little bit more. All right. From this point, since I hadn't decided, okay, here we go. Since I hadn't decided I wanted to date him yet, it began to feel more pushy. Okay, yeah. So it is just like a situationship. I don't know if that's the right word. It's like a. I almost want to say it's like a will they won't they thing, but one viewer on Twitch bro fell off. That's because everyone's viewing on YouTube right now. Like, I don't know if there's a term for this, but so it sounds like they're not dating yet, but there are feelings at least one way from imperfect to this person who I think I will probably just call Sunny because it's easy to remember. Began to feel more pushy. He'd begin shunning me for taking my time pondering if I really wanted the relationship, when I really just wanted to get to know him better. We were quote-unquote close for about a week and a half or so around my birthday and Christmas. I'd tell him I needed time and that relationships like this don't just happen immediately, especially after the terrible experience I had prior. And that's fair, but you definitely shouldn't, obviously I don't know the full context, but I am hoping that Sunny was not leading this person on, saying like, oh yeah, I kind of like you, but I need time, because that's not a great thing to do, but so they definitely aren't dating yet. And so him being a little upset with the friendship stuff is not great of him. But at the same time, like I said, we don't really have all the context, so it's really hard to know. As I stated before, relationships have been very hard for me. Yeah, you've said that like 9 times now. And I don't know, I thought it was and I don't know, I thought it was normal to take a while to decide on a relationship. See, like this passive aggressive stuff only belongs in that type of doc I was talking about earlier. Like, you can either go very professional or very storytelling, and this person is going for very storytelling, and this is not how you tell a good story, right? People normally take years for this stuff, but being online has skewed that so much. See, like, this is another thing. It's like you could just cut this out and the whole thing would be exactly the same. And either way, people move at their own pace. I feel like patience is deserved when it is asked for, and often begged in my case. I've had entire breakdowns to him and about this and how it made me feel. I don't like to be rushed, and I told him if he couldn't be patient, I'd just leave. So my question is, why didn't you then? Like, if this was such an issue at the time, like, you weren't dating him yet, you had no commitment to him. Anyways, this feels like it's a rough draft of a document. It feels very poorly written. Yeah, I honestly completely agree with that. I would say, like, they're young as an excuse, but these people are only a year younger than me. And trust me, if I wrote an if I was in a situation where I felt like I had to write an exposure document, that exposure document would be the greatest one that anybody has ever seen. I'm just saying. It got to a point during the quote-unquote waiting time for me to be ready that he'd... See, that's what makes me think it's almost like, yeah, I will date you eventually, but I need time. Like, because honestly, I've had people act like that towards me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not... Yeah, no, like, it's... My dad sent me this video once, so I was like, if someone doesn't want to date you, there's a very little amount that you can do through talking that'll get them to want to date you. And I feel like this is almost a sign of that. This part isn't really a fault of Sunny, but I feel like it would have been better for him to just like move on at that point. But I mean, like, if you've never been in that situation, it's not like you really know what that means when someone says that. Have you been watching the bricks and minifigs crap? It's genuinely crazy. I know of it. It happened in Utah, so like, I actually have not been following it super closely though. Okay, so it got to a point during the waiting time for me to be ready that he began to hold it up against me, how much money he spent, how he helped me get food. Okay, so the thing he spent on her was money for food then, right? How he helped me with transportation. Yeah, so I said you don't have to do something for someone just because they give you gifts, but that also applies the other way, where it's like you can't give someone a gift and expect them to do something in return, Anyways, none of these things is necessarily asked for, but he sort of just offered and I accepted because I thought it was just pure help. And that's fair, you know. My financial situation hasn't been the greatest, but he really did help me. I was okay. But see, that almost makes it sound like the whole waiting thing was like, okay, if I don't wait for this guy, I will lose my source of income. And, you know, that's not good really on, like, either of their parts. Like, I can understand where she's coming from. I also don't think that's a good thing to do to someone, though. But I understand it, is what I'm trying to say. I was okay with this until it became ammo and shields for arguments. The amount of times he brought up how much money he spent on me is way more to count on my hands. Now that's a dick move. He would waste hundreds of dollars on useless things like Discord Nitro, especially... How are you spending hundreds of dollars on Discord Nitro? Jeez. Especially when I didn't want to talk to him. He'd spam me with Discord gifts in general when I didn't wish to speak to him. It got very bad near the end. During the time I found out he was lying to me about me to many people. He was telling people that I was using him for his money and manipulating him. When I had begged him to stop wasting his money on useless things like this, and just in general, he complained about how much money he was losing, only to turn around and spend hundreds, even as a joke with friends. Okay, so this is another situation where having the evidence screenshots with this paragraph would be very useful, so I could actually, you know, see this happening, because I feel like it's hard to just believe someone based on their words alone, especially in a document that's this poorly written. Like, you need to have that evidence with it, you know, because it's not really as effective if you're reading them separately. Anyways, just a minor nitpick. To clarify more on the spamming of gifts, I have a simple boundary that I've been trying to set up with him for months, but each time I tried, he only pushed me further. I have problems with myself, but they aren't unbearable. I just need time alone pretty often. This is exactly what I could never get from him. This resulted in an unhealthy attachment to him, and even knowing this, when I tried to pull away, he wouldn't let me and would instead guilt me about it, sending more gifts and money. Especially already knowing this unhealthy attachment to me, I knew this just didn't go well together. I had done my best to push him away and even begged him to talk to other people, but he just wouldn't for the longest time unless it was to talk badly of me. He would vent about the things I had been begging him not to do, saying I was forcing him to do them and even manipulating him. This had been going on for months, very likely even since we started talking, but it wasn't until early this month, July of 2026, that I found out about any of it. This really upset me, considering how much he had yelled at me for talking to people about our relationships, even forcing me to promise both online and in person that I wouldn't. Speaking of in person, he had felt so paranoid about my relationship between me and a friend that he had forced me to show him our DMs. See, that's bad because they're not actually dating, it sounds like. Unless they are dating now. Once again, the author does not make this clear. I feel like I wouldn't say that's an unreasonable thing to do if you're dating. It all just depends, like, on your partner and your communication with them, you know, which these two people clearly have failed at. Just completely. Yearly subscription is $100. Holy. Right. He still denies this, even when I mentioned it over text after I told him how uncomfortable it made me to know he was saying untrue things behind my back. The only things I had talked about with that person was how we were doing, not about him. When imperfect was mentioned, they wished the best for me in my relationship with him. Even after knowing this, he still held it up against me, saying I was likely cheating on him and telling other people I was going behind his back to talk about him. Okay, so they are dating. They are dating at this point. I wish it was a little more clear when they actually started dating, but, you know, maybe the evidence screenshots will clear that up. I was barely allowed to talk to people, so this just never made any sense to me. I would like to go into the part about me being unable to talk to people because that was my primary issue. I'm a very empathetic person, and it doesn't help how much stuff he had been shoving in my face gift-wise. At the time, he was my partner. I feel he began to take more advantage of this as we truly began dating. 4 out of 10? What? Even before this, I'd say he was... What is... Huh? Okay. Even before this, I'd say he was worse towards me since we weren't dating and he took that... No. Is that supposed to be the date? Is that okay? Wait, I have no idea what this is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be the date they started dating, which was April 10th, right? Check DMs when you get a chance. Okay, one sec. Also, keep in mind there is. Oh yeah, so it is 100 for yearly nitro. That's crazy. Keep in mind there is a response document to this, so maybe hold out on forming your final opinions until we read that, which I would like to do this stream. Is it a reference to a screenshot maybe? Psh, I wish. It doesn't really look like there are any dates here. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, at this point, just copy and paste all the messages, you know? Like, just, yeah. Anyways. Even before this, I'd say it was worse towards me since we weren't dating, and he took that very personally that I didn't want to date immediately. Okay, so that must be the date they started dating, right? So, oh boy, okay, this whole thing, modern relationships are so convoluted between teens. We have had many arguments over this topic, and at one point I almost started dating him so he would stop complaining about it. Dude, in what world? Anyways, it wasn't until I threatened to leave for the first time that he would take my begging for patience even a bit seriously, only to slowly go back on that. Yeah, okay. This whole thing. I mean, yeah. I don't even know if I can say it's a lack of proper communication. You know, it's like a great reason to enter a relationship. That's what I'm saying, man. Referring to these people are clearly immature. For adults, at least. And like I said, this whole thing could have been private, right? You work it out with the person in private. Hell, you can even just block him, never talk to him again. You literally never have to think about them ever again. Referring to the mental stuff here, patience was honestly the only thing I really asked of him, but he never gave it to me. I know what I need in order to communicate properly, but I was never able to until it was already too late and he had already poked me enough to yell at him. One, or likely more of these breakdowns, were recorded in an attempt to make me look bad. As I stated prior... Oh, I hope they show that in the doc. As I stated prior, he showed these recordings to people without context in order to make me look bad. Yeah, you... What? You said that in the last sentence. One or more of these breakdowns were recorded to make me look bad. As I stated, he showed these recordings to people without context to make me look bad. Like, you just said... What is this? Latin poetry? That's my big question at this point. What is forcing her into this guy's proximity? I know, dude. Like, I guess you could make an argument that, like, if he's paying for food and transportation and stuff, but, like, she must have been getting by somehow before she started talking to this guy, so it's like, yeah, same here, honestly. Where was I? Before arguments, I'd always do my best to just back off from him until I'm ready to talk. He hated this, yeah, honestly, that's fair. I'd be pretty mad too, like, right? Because I feel like there's a couple times when it's really good to to get your problems out, you know? And I think, you know, not that I've been in any, like, super serious relationships, but there's arguments, which you could argue is actually kind of bad because nobody's level-headed. There's, you know, like, stopping at a good point and, like, you know, actually having a conversation with the person. And there's couples therapy, which these people clearly were not going to. Getting upset when I suddenly stop talking, even though I've communicated this to him countless times. Well, if you're trying to have a conversation with someone, like, about actual problems and they just, like, stop talking, like, you know, anyways. He even told me it was okay up until I actually started doing it. Doing what? It was what helped me set my mind straight because I know I'll be irrational if I try to talk to something heavy out immediately. See, that's fair, but, like, you have to be sure you actually talk about it at some point, right? You can't, like, just avoid the topic altogether. He forces himself into the conversation, then acts dumb when it doesn't go his way. Shockingly so, he reacts the same way, if not worse, during the confrontation. I feel like now is the section where I should properly go over the confrontation and why it happened. As stated prior, Imperfect has been lying about me likely since December, April through July are actual confirmations. Okay, so they met before December, and I think it sounds like they started dating April 10th, if at all. Yeah, same here. Okay. Due to his own impulsive thoughts and actions feeding into his paranoia, he had done this all while guilting and love bombing me to keep me quiet about everything going on with us because he was terrified of looking bad, and I loved him so much I didn't want to make him look bad either. I feel like love bombing is like such a fake thing, honestly. That's just a personal opinion, though. I understand some people see it as a manipulation tactic, but it's like, I feel like a lot of times you just like, maybe I'm misunderstanding what love bombing is. Anyways, he was constantly whining about the amount of people who clowned on his music and asked him for stuff. So I really, dude, you're in a relationship with him. He's like venting about people being mean about his music, which is probably a sensitive topic considering that's literally this guy's career. So I didn't want to add on to that kind of struggle. Okay, so like that's fine, I guess. But like saying he was constantly whining about it, like you guys were dating. Anyways, that's so rude. That's such a rude thing to say, dude. Imagine you're like dating some girl and you're like, just for an example, you're like really insecure about your penis size or something, and you're like, obviously you probably shouldn't vent to this about your girlfriend unless you guys are in a very deep relationship. But like, it's just an example, right? It could be anything. Take penis size, replace it with anything. Now, imagine you're like complaining to her about your micro penis and how you're like really upset about it, and then like you guys have like a messy breakup and she posts a Google Doc and she's like, oh yeah, he wouldn't stop whining about his micro penis. That's so rude. That is so rude. I will include screenshots backing the claims above the best I can. If I forget anything, please don't hesitate to let me know, as it may have been a more personal endeavor that I might have been uncomfortable showing because I was often emotionally vulnerable during these conversations. It was already enough that he had exposed personal things relating to my sex life to people. Now that's not good. Even as ammo against me when I had been doing it all for him. My summary and personal thoughts. I truly believe Imperfect should and can change if he really tries. Wait. So if this is your personal thoughts, then what was all this? Anyways, he can change if he really tries, but at this rate, and him constantly going back on promises, even after countless confrontations from his close friends, it's just hard to believe he's truly changing and not just doing quote-unquote better for spite. He only takes these as personal jabs, not signs to get better. These are people that have stuck with him for years, and it's upsetting to see someone you knew so well constantly shoot themselves in the foot. Right now, he shouldn't even be on the internet. He was supposed to be taking breaks at multiple points, but he genuinely refused to, and argued with both me and his friends about it. I'm very worried for the people he'd begun talking to, and if they really know what he's done. Laughing along and encouraging his behavior really isn't helping. I was initially hoping that during our genuine break, whatever we took after the confrontation, that he'd be focusing on himself, but right now all he cares about is changing his image to avoid association to who he truly is. How everything played out between us really didn't have to happen, and I felt it was best I came out about this so he can truly learn his lesson and actually back down from social media. Yeah, I feel like anytime someone gets like exposed like this and they end up coming back, they don't learn crap, dude. Like they go away for a while, wait for things to settle down, and then don't act like this is to like teach them a lesson, like honestly, I just say be honest about what it is. This is a doc for yourself, right? To make you feel better about what happened. And I don't think that's always a bad thing. I think in certain situations it's a bad thing. But if you are a genuine victim and you're like, yeah, this doc is to help me, and it's like something that someone actually did that was like actually bad, that's reasonable. But like, don't try to pretend it's about like, helping the people whose image you are completely ruining and, potential career you are destroying. Um, going to be AFK a bit, just to grab my phone, and you're going to watch stream while solving a jigsaw puzzle. W. Too imperfect. I really hope you can get actual help and not just distractions. It's only making you worse. I'm glad you took the first step to get therapy. Oh yeah, did they ever say what the confrontation is? The confrontation. I mean, so is the confrontation then just like learning about him talking behind her back? Because it doesn't really say that. Like, it just says during the confrontation. Like, what does... Anyways. I hope you can get actual help. It's only making you worse. I'm glad you took the first step to get therapy, but the next includes stepping back from everything else to truly focus on it. You need to worry about yourself, not your image. Rebranding will not change what you've done or how you've treated anyone. I truly wish you weren't so selfish and careless when I really did my best for you. Hey babe, I know I was poly and like, you know, I was a little too close with my friends, but you were really the selfish one here. I'm not, you know, I know I'm posting an exposure doc to ruin your career, to make myself feel better about stuff, but you know, I really feel like you're the one who's so selfish and careless. You gave me money for food and travel. Yeah, you were the most selfish, careless person I ever knew. I hope you die. It's crazy. You never cared to acknowledge the things I did for you, and it really upsets how often you talk bad of me. You told me very often I was the only person who didn't want you for your money, so I'll never understand why you wanted me to be that way so badly. I mean, it just sounds like that's the way he knows how to show love, you know, but anyways, even just you flat out saying that I am that way. Even just you flat out saying that I am that... Yeah, whatever. The constant projection... Oh my gosh, I hate the term projection so bad. The constant projection was so unbearable, and I'm honestly glad we're separated now because this was a very unhealthy and scary situation for me. I do not wish to see you again, but I really hope you change, and for those who choose to stick with him, please actually push him towards getting better instead of just being there to mooch off him or get attention. It's not worth it unless you truly care, and it's disgusting. None of this should have happened. I said the things I said and reacted the way I did because I was truly sick of you and how you treated me. That does not make me a bad person, so please grow up and keep acting like it is, and quit acting like it is. Grow up, and you're here posting your high school drama online for the world to see. I did not hurt you. I loved you. I did not hurt... Okay, first of all, that is completely not for you to decide. Regardless of the situation, if someone feels hurt by you, they feel hurt by you, right? Like, even if they're not technically... Like, this person feeling hurt, that's a fine thing to feel, right? Like, you wouldn't want him saying that he never hurt you, right? Because you are clearly hurt by this. Like, you are hurt by it. How do I say this? I have a thought. I'm trying to get it out of my mouth. You're hurt by this situation, and I feel like he might say the same thing. Like he could say he didn't hurt you, but the fact that you are hurt means you are hurt, right? It's like you can be hurt for a reason that's not completely reasonable. Like you know, I can't think of a good example, but like that doesn't mean you weren't hurt, you know? Sorry, I'm just rambling. I'm making absolutely zero sense. I did not hurt you. I loved you, and I did a lot for you. You chose to delude yourself into thinking that way. Thank you for reading. I will reply to the post containing this doc with the videos and screenshots of the confirmation, lies, and examples of how he'd manipulate me to prevent any bugs within the doc. Any bugs within the doc, right? Okay. Right as I was going to gather evidence for these sections, that's when I got in contact with others. Okay, so before we go over the supposed evidence here, because, geez, there's a lot of it, but screenshots do take up a lot of space, so I'm not actually too worried. Yeah, let's read the anonymous experiences, because I'm sure those are going to have some evidence backing them up, too. Now, I can't help but notice all the blue and red underlines here. Jeez. Do people just like outsource everything, like all their school essays to AI or something these days? Because reading this so far has been a genuinely horrendous experience. Hello? That's gonna just make me read it in the phone guy voice. Hang on. Hello, hello. I am Anon. I actually know Okay, one more thing I wanted to bring up last night. What I was thinking of when I was like reading bits of this in bed and like skimming it, is that I feel like it's really hard to just like. I hope there's screenshots for these anonymous confessions, because I know it's probably. Ooh, okay. Because sorry, what was this? Oh yeah, I know it's good if people want to be anonymous to keep them anonymous, but like you have to have proof that this actually happened, and this is actually something I saw like in the replies for the response doc, is that like one of these stories is just like completely fabricated. Yo, what is up, Oreo Cookie Cat? How are you doing? Play Offcock 2 instead? No. Hello, hello. Okay, I hope you realize. Oh, never mind, actually. Hello, hello, I'm Anon. I actually know Imperfect IRL, and I've known him for 3 years now. I wanted to come forward about my experience with him sooner, but okay, I need to like. How do I just ignore all on all of these? Let me turn this off. Whatever. Okay. It's gonna bother me, but there's nothing I can do about it. I actually know Imperfect IRL. I've known him for about 3 years now. I wanted to come forward about my experience with him sooner, but I don't have much of a platform. And I've also just been scared. Since he's an IRL, he knows a lot of my information, and he's directly told me that he has a lot of crap on me. The last thing I need is for my information or for photos of me to be leaked. Okay, wait. You don't have much of a platform. He has stuff on you. You know him in real life. Doesn't that mean you have just as much stuff on him? Like, if he threatens to do... Because he's the one here who actually has the big account, right? Like, he's the famous person in this situation. Am I making a doc? No, this is a copy I made because the original got deleted. I want to say, in a shocking moment of hindsight, or I guess foresight on my part, last night I'm like, okay, this document is getting a lot of hate. It's going to be gone in the morning, if not from the creator, then from Google. And I was right, but luckily I had made a copy of it last night. Which, yeah, so this is a copy. The original has been deleted by Google. Not by the original creator, but by Google. So I guess at least props to them for not, like, backstepping or backtracking or whatever. Yeah, so anyways, as I was saying, like, he's the famous one here with the big platform, so if anything, him threatening to expose you, like, what does that matter to you? Like, nobody knows you, dog. But on the other hand, if he does expose you, you can expose him right back, and he's got, like, what, 290,000 subscribers? So, like, all I'm saying is, like, him using that as ammunition should not really be a threat to you. But anyways, maybe they just didn't think of that. Let's keep going. I wanted to be mature about this whole situation, but Imperfect has shown countless times that he is anything but mature. Talking with Kirby... Okay, so wait, is Kirby the name of the person making this doc? Because I literally only know them on Twitter by their Twitter name, so I've been calling them Sunny. But, alright, we'll call him Kirby now, because I guess that's what they want to go by. Talking with Kirby has made me realize he was twisting our stories to each other, most likely in an attempt to turn us against each other. Please thoroughly read this. And why does every document ask me to thoroughly read it, dude? I'm in the document. I'm thoroughly reading it. You don't have to tell me to thoroughly read it. Please thoroughly read this and ask yourself if this is someone you want to keep supporting. I mean, I wasn't really supporting him in the first place, but yeah. IRL experiences. During the time I've known Imperfect, he has constantly made weird remarks or jokes directed towards me or my friends. When we first became friends, he said that I was like his daughter, as if that's some sort of crime. I'm a real person, and I just think it's weird that he viewed me that way. What? Maybe if he meant it as a joke, like the way you would call someone your son, but he didn't seem like he was joking. Okay, this is probably one of the sections that has like zero evidence, because how do you even prove something like that, dude? For all I know, like that could have like genuinely happened, and he could have been like, "You're like my daughter," and then like groped her or something. But like, you don't view your daughter as a real person either. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, maybe he was being really creepy about this, you know, but like, how are you gonna prove that? Anyways, he even compared me to a childlike character. Whoa. Dude, I would call him like one of my guys, one of my boys, like I would call him like Son Gohan and he'd be stoked, you know. I don't remember her name, I just remember him showing me pictures of her on his phone. He also made remarks about how much smaller I was than him. Okay, so I remember a time when we were in class together and he had asked to see my hand, and he was just commenting about how small my fingers were, and he even stated how easy it would be for him to break one of my fingers. He even asked if he could break one of them. Obviously not. Dude, he was clearly joking. Okay, now that's like a little iffy, but that's just like an autism thing, right? Like a normal person would find that weird, but I feel like if you're not very good socially, like, yeah, man, oh my gosh. Imagine like sitting next to your friend and being like, hey, can I break one of your fingers? Like, what? You don't expect them to say yes, you know? What was I streaming before this? This is all I have streamed today. Okay, sorry. It's really hard for me to take this section seriously, especially with like how it's written with like the extra question marks at the end, where it's like a very it's like a very stereotypical way of writing for a certain type of person, and it's just, I'm sorry. Imperfect also used to refer to Anantu and I as his girlfriends. Yeah, because you were his friends who were girls. And he was oddly clingy with me, and he would follow me around and get upset at me. Honestly, I just want to say, the original author of this talk, who's apparently Kirby and may also be called Sunny, just including this whole section just like decredits them completely. I almost wonder if this part of the document was made by like one of his IRL friends to like almost make this whole thing look like a joke, you know, because there's no way someone seriously wrote this and was actually just like, oh yeah, man, this is red flag behavior here. Like, I almost, oh my gosh, dude, I almost wonder if it's like 4D chess, you know, like this is someone pretending to be a quote unquote victim. And you know, if you're upset by this and you didn't once mention to him that made you uncomfortable, I hate to say it, but that might be a little bit your fault. Anyways, if I didn't pay attention to him, or if I ignored him, which is something... Oh yeah, he would follow me around and get upset at me if I didn't pay attention to him, or if I ignored him, which is something I only did if I wanted space and he wasn't giving it to me. I don't know, man. I'd be pretty upset if one of my friends was ignoring me too. But like, like this one, it's like, just tell him, you know, tell him you think he's being obnoxious. I promise you, it'll fix like 90% of your problems. Like if it doesn't make him change his behavior, it'll make him dislike you and leave you alone, you know. I don't owe him my attention. I'm not his girlfriend. Hashtag keep dreaming, man. Oh my gosh, I'm making that my Discord quote. Hang on, that's so fire. Oh my gosh, that is so good. That is so good. Hang on. What was his name? It was like, hang on. Imperfect, that's right. That is insane, dude. That is a crazy thing to put in like a legitimate exposure doc. Hashtag keep dreaming, man. Oh my gosh. I tried to convince myself that he just has a hard time establishing boundaries. You're the one who's not establishing boundaries. You haven't once told him that what he's doing is making you uncomfortable. But I have verbally and physically expressed that I don't like when he hugs up on me. Okay, now see, that's not good. And you still continue to do so. Now that's not great. Yeah, respect people's boundaries, obviously, but I mean, from what it sounds like, that's the only thing you told him. Okay, I saw Porn Addicted Virgin and I got a little distracted. Where was I? I got a little lost. Wait, what? Hang on. Oh, here we go. See, this is why it's important to structure your Google Docs right, because none of these paragraphs are paragraphs, if that makes sense. He also has a tendency of lashing out on his friends. He has called me, along with a few of my other friends, bitches, or even worse. I'd like to know more examples of this. But he is so quick to call a woman a bitch over the littlest shit. Just say Floyd. It's not as offensive to mainstream women. A lot of women don't even know what it means. The way he acts, speaks to, and about women makes me think he is misogynist. See, this is another thing I would like examples of, not just like a... Because, you know, that is a problem if he is acting that way. But we don't really know what this person considers misogynistic, and considering what they consider to be harassment, I don't think they have a very high bar for it. But that's just my personal opinion from reading this, my personal inference. Or at the very least, a porn-addicted virgin who can only see women sexually rather than as human beings. Okay? Do I even want to read this next part? I remember a time I had texted Imperfect a photo of my feet because I had drawn the Roblox man and woman faces on them, and I just thought it was funny. That's on me for sending a picture of my feet to this guy, because like 15 minutes later he replied to me and said, "Thanks for the goon. Say psych right now, GG's." Oh my gosh. Doesn't he have a daughter? No. He referred to this person as being like his daughter, you know, like the same way Cade would refer to... Oh, I just like leaked. Okay, the same way my sister would refer to her friends as like her family, right? Like her parent, you know, like... I don't think he actually has a daughter. He's younger than me, actually. He's 18. And that's another thing. That's why I'm like, is this really worth, like this all happened in apparently high school, right? It could have even been before that, because this person knew him in real life. Anyways, thanks for the good... Yeah, whatever. Another common joke is liking feet, and, you know, like, clearly you've never said you're uncomfortable with any of this stuff, and so, you know, you're his friend, he thinks it's funny, he's gonna say that. I've said that to my friends, bro, actually. That's what I'm saying, man. Like... I've like made straight up rape threats towards some of my pals, and they know I'm joking, right? Like, anyways, and you know, like I said, why did you send a picture of your feet? Like, you drew the man and woman faces on them, sure, but like, did you, like, if this guy made you so uncomfortable, don't send him pictures of yourself. Anyways, a mutual friend of ours has told me that on several occasions, Imperfect has texted her and asked if she had any edibles to give him. Mind you, he doesn't do drugs. He reaches out when his mental health is struggling, and the fact that he constantly looks for an escape of some kind leads me to think that he's very unstable. Okay, he asked for drugs? Sure, right? He isn't joking, we just consent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rape isn't rape if they enjoy it, okay? I'm joking, by the way. A mutual friend of ours has told me that on several occasions, Imperfect has texted her and asked if she had any... Oh, I read that already. Another thing, he has made several jokes about liking children. Once again, that's not a great thing to do. I don't personally support it, but that's another thing where, like, if you had been in, like, any public place that has teenagers, that is, like, a frequent thing, you know? Like, it's a very common joke. It is in bad taste, and it's not actually even very funny, but, like, that is... a very common joke. It doesn't mean you actually like children, you know. Switch to YouTube chat, that's fair. Everyone's here right now for whatever reason. I vividly remember a time where I was talking about one of my friends, saying that she's a furry and she makes her own gear, and Imperfect had jumped in and said something along the lines of, "Oh, she's a furry? You have to put me on with her." Once again, another pretty... Anyways. Like, I feel like anyone who has had a friend, this doesn't sound weird to them at all. I then mentioned to him that not only is she a lesbian, but she was also 16 at the time, to which Imperfect responded that he doesn't care. I think he was 18 at the time, which, for one, that's a 2-year age gap. Well, I do think anyone over 18 probably shouldn't be dating anyone younger than them. At the same time, it's like if they're in school together, it's reasonable that they would date, you know. And also, I think he was 18 at the time, means there's actually probably a higher likelihood that he wasn't, since this took place in school, as far as I can tell. But it really stuck with me because it was directed towards one of my friends. He never states that he's joking either. Yeah, because he shouldn't have to. I just have to assume that he is. Either way, it's never funny. It's just weird. I agree with that, but you know, like, what are you gonna do? Imperfect has also looked me dead in the face and said that I have the face of a shotgun. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, a shotgun is like someone who likes anime little boys. That is the funniest thing ever, dude. Oh my gosh, that's actually like so. Like, I would post a Giga Chad fly image with that dead ass. Not only that, but he asked random people in our cafeteria if they thought I looked like a shotgun. Okay, now that's weird, but like, this is a girl. Yes, as far as I can tell. I guarantee you that most of those people don't even know what that is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a pretty obscure thing. I didn't even know what that was until I started using Twitter. He was so insistent on it too. If we had a disagreement, he would try and deflect by saying, "Okay, but you're a shotgun." What? I'm not a fucking shotgun. I'm not attracted to children. I'm making that clear. Okay. For the record, I think Shada and lolicons is like really weird, but I also think equating it to like actual child sexual endangerment material is not helping anyone, you know, like. Anyways, these people are very intelligent. So true. At gracedupont.lin. This was the username of the Instagram account imperfect used to scam pedos like 3 years ago. Don't let him convince you that there were no minors involved, because there were several, including me, another IRL friend, and a few of his friends that lived in other states. I didn't think much of it at first, especially since he offered to pay me, but I was logged into the account, and he had me texting and taking calls from these guys so they would believe that there was a girl behind the account. Because obviously, you know, you could have just said no, right? Like, the dude paid you, and that's probably why you said yes, but you can decline, you can say no. That's something a lot of these people don't seem to realize. No is a valid answer to things. Because obviously if he was taking calls, they would realize something was up. He usually used photos of OnlyFans models to send them, but he genuinely tried to convince me to send nudes of myself. Okay, that's not good. Once again, I would hope this has some sort of proof, because I feel like that's just not something you can. My question is, what age was this girl at the time? Not that that makes this right, but it's considerably less bad if she was a consenting adult, I'd think. Still not good, right? And, you know, like I said, I would like some proof on this, because I feel like this one isn't an accusation you can just throw around, like, without some sort of proof. So hopefully the evidence section has some, but, it was already gross enough hearing men twice my age say weird things that they wanted to do to me. Once again, you can say no to his offer, like he's paying you for this, but he doesn't have to be. Or saying that they liked how young I sounded, but he was really pushing it. Now you're just making it sound like it was his fault. They were pedophiles, you know. I stopped being active on the account for a while, and it became abandoned, TBH. But this year, I came to realize that I was still logged into the account and was able to switch between it and my personal account freely. Oh, okay, so we might be getting some screenshots. I decided to be a little nosy because I had a feeling that Imperfect might still be using the account for something, if not DMing people. Sure enough, when I went into activity and checked his likes from the past week, there were highly suggestive reels. I can't call it porn, but it was... I can't call it porn, but it was just like goon slop. What? I've never seen anyone unironically use the term goon slop before. There was generally just fetishized content of women, as he wasn't using the account for its original purpose anymore. Anyways, when I first discovered this, I wasn't really surprised. I just thought it was really weird that he was doing that he was doing this while in a relationship. The same day I DM'd Kirby. Okay, to be fair though, this is something a lot of older people don't know about, like, younger relationships. They don't, like, obviously it varies from person to person, but, like, a lot of people in relationships these days don't actually consider that cheating, which is, like, insane to me. But, like, like, I don't think that's really, like, obviously you shouldn't do it if your partner's uncomfortable with it, but they're dropping it like it's like some bombshell. But yeah, anyways, especially more progressive young couples are like, yeah, I know it's horrendous, but it is like Gold Complex's Goonslop Truth Nuke. Yeah, I agree that it's horrendous, but it is like a very common thing, a very common sentiment around kids my age. I say kids, I'm a grown man. Around like teens my age, they're like, yeah, we don't consider that cheating. But, like I said, it really depends on person to person. Obviously, talk to your partner or whatever, but yeah. Like, what I'm trying to say is that this isn't like some like major bombshell, like, oh, he was cheating on her, because truth was she was probably watching porn too. I mean, she literally said herself she like was trying out poly relationship stuff, so it's like, whatever. The same day I DM'd Kirby to ask if they had broken up. I didn't get a response, which Kirby told me was because Imperfect had told him not to reply to me. Oh, so Kirby's a guy. Okay. So they're gay. I think he realized I was still logged into the account then, because soon after that the account was banned. Yeah, because he banned the account. He banned his own account. He has the power to ban his own account. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. It's actually more likely that Discord just got a hold of it and banned it. Scroll for pics, spacing his butt. Yes. He will be dealt with. Oh. Hi, Kirby. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did you and Israel break up? Should I just be honest? Low-key, bro, you should lie. I was in the bathroom, sorry. But she can't have anything but bad intentions with this crap. We haven't spoken in months, and there's already at least one side mutual dislike. So it sounds like this person who he knows has a lot of personal stake in this. Goonslop implies the existence of Goon Gem. Goon Gem is like Ryan Gosling, basically. That's what Goon Gem is. Yeah, okay, so basically so his girlfriend, who is Kirby, gets messaged by this anonymous person who is not anonymous anymore, because they just, like, why even call, anyways, it's all potato. Your messages in YT chat weren't working. I do have a Twitch. You can try chatting there if you want, but it's up to you. Yeah, so Kirby told her to lie. I mean, good on her for asking him. I don't know. This doesn't really... Yeah, anyways. I'll continue. Okay, the rest of this stuff doesn't really fit into a category. I just wanted to talk about it anyways. Last year, I was at a low point in my life. Last year I was at a low point in my life, and my view on my self-worth was like 6 feet under. I had convinced myself that I would only ever be good for my body, and I was being very stupid with my decisions. I remember one time I was in a VC with Imperfect, and he had asked me if I would ever hook up with someone for money. I stupidly said that I thought I would, and he asked me for how much. I just threw a number out there because I thought we were just joking around, but he went and sent me the money. Ooh, that's not good. I didn't expect him to do that. I said I was going to send it back to him, but he insisted you kept it. I didn't actually have any intent to hook up with him. I then heard from other people that he was twisting the story, saying that I asked him for money to hook up. Okay, so if he sent the money and told her to keep it and didn't expect like, that just sounds like he's doing a good thing, right? Like, he's like, how much money do you need? And he asks it in like a roundabout way that I would agree is uncomfortable, but he didn't actually like pressure her into hooking up with him, did he? Like, it doesn't... Yeah, anyways. Now, obviously, twisting the story isn't great, but once again, we have no proof of what actually happened, as far as I know. So, once again, this could all just be made up. But, maybe he'll address it in here, and we'll see some receipts or whatever. But, yeah, we'll see. When are you giving me mod in YouTube chat? Oh, I thought you had it already. Hang on. Okay, I don't know how to do it when my chat's popped out. I will do it before I end stream if you remind me. It wasn't true in the slightest, and even if it was, he still sent me the money, so that doesn't make him innocent in the situation. Yeah, but what does make him innocent is the fact that he didn't press you to hook up, and he was like, yeah, I don't need the money back, right? Also around this time, now what would be bad is if you use that as leverage later, but we'll see. Also around this time, I had an account where I was posting nude photos. Okay, so I was... See, that makes me even more think he was like, okay, so you're posting nude photos in hopes to attract someone with money. Yeah, right? Like, he's like, you're selling yourself. Let me give you money without you having to sell yourself. This is just my interpretation, obviously. And it could be that this is not what happened. But it really, here, it sounds like he's like, hey, here's money. Stop selling your photos, right? Like, this is how much you would need to degrade yourself like that. So I'm giving it to you so you don't have to degrade yourself like that, right? Anyways, I was posting nudes of myself in hopes to like attract someone with money, basically selling myself online. I brought up the website name in a group chat with Imperfect and another friend of ours, and within minutes he had told me that he had found me on that website, and he was acting like I just like flashed him. I didn't ask him to go and look me up. You brought up the website that you had an account on to your friends. Obviously they're going to be looking for your account. Sorry, I didn't even mention my username on the website to him. He seemed genuinely concerned at first. Yeah, who wouldn't be, you know? But a few weeks after that in VC call, he asked if he could manage me because he said he was more experienced and that he could get me more money, which is crazy considering how much crap he was talking about you, calling you a whore and shit. Now, I don't think you should call a woman a whore, but if a woman is posting nude pictures of herself online, completely of her own accord, by the way, and someone pays her and she's still doing it, and she is very possibly underage at this point if she's around the same age as what's his name, like Imperfect or whatever, then yeah, I would call you a whore too, man. I can't even lie. Not that, like, you know, the key word there being of their own accord, because a lot of times women are like roped into sex work and like trafficking stuff because like they either have like a dependency on drugs or stuff. But I mean, I would hope someone this young still has like contact with whoever raised them and whoever's house they were living in up until they were an adult. But anyways, I digress. I guess situations are just like, situations are complicated is what I'm trying to say, but you have to understand, if you do something like that, you have to accept the reality that people might see you as a little lesser, you know, and like call you a whore and stuff. Like, you know, obviously it's nuanced. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of times when women have to do that or else they'd be like homeless, but yeah, the reality is, in doing that, you have to be willing to accept that people are going to see you differently, right? Anyways, I'm not a woman. I don't know. If I was a woman, though, I'd totally be a prostitute. That's like only half a joke, by the way. Also, I don't really know what he did once I gave him the login to my account. Why'd you give him the login to your account if you didn't want him having it? Why? But if he still has those pictures and posts them as a way to get back at me or something, please know that, one, that is really immature, and now we are making up situations that did not happen. Okay, so you are 17. So this person was posting underage photos of themselves and expects us to think that this guy who's paying her not to do that is the bad guy in this situation. What? And yeah, why give him the login to your account if you did not want him having it? What? You're 17 or younger in this. Okay, so you were posting child pornography is what you just admitted to, right? Like, okay, whatever. So you weren't even in a situation where you needed money, right? Like, I would assume at 17 you're still hopefully living with your parents or someone to financially support you. So you were doing this willingly. You had no need to post nude photos of yourself, and then you expect people to look at you in the eye the same way and be like, hey, I don't think any less of you for that. Like, how can you do that to yourself, man? How can you do that to yourself and not expect people to be like, yeah, she's kind of a whore, you know? Like, you had no reason to be doing that other than you wanted money, and he gave you money, and you were still doing that. What? Sorry. This whole section just bothers me, honestly. The whole doc would have been better without this. Like, this honestly makes it harder to take the rest of this doc seriously, as if it was not hard to begin with. But message to imperfect: if you're reading this, dude, please just take accountability. Please be mature about this, bro. It really is that simple to seek help. I'd understand if you didn't have the money to, but you definitely do. Yet you choose to spend your money on stupid stuff. You hear this? Don't spend money on women, because they will they'll make an exposure doc on you. If you can spend hours in VC, you can spend 30 minutes in a virtual therapy session. Stop deflecting and stop calling women bitches? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You're a man. Shut that shit up. Also, please learn to have respect for people and their wishes, and please learn to control your temper. Like, pulse. After you get caught saying some weird shit, you always say that you were upset when you said it, but you need to learn how to not let your anger get the best of you. I really did consider you one of my friends at some point, and I really did feel bad for the way things ended. But after hearing the way you spoke about me and the way you drove a wedge between me and my boyfriend by feeding him your twisted version of the story, painting me out to be evil but conveniently leaving your faults out. Okay, so she also had a boyfriend while she was posting nude photos, so that's so cool, man. I don't even know. I wonder if the boyfriend saw any of that money. Like, that's the biggest issue when, like, girls are doing this behind their boyfriend's back and they're, like, not actually financially supporting their boyfriend in any way. I don't even know. I doubt that you actually wanted to make up with me anyways, considering how much you said you hated me. So I don't know why you reached out to do so. Also, I don't mean to threaten you, but if you leak information about me or my family, trust and believe I will be #on that. As if Goonslop and Keep Dreaming Man didn't already make it hard to believe the rest of it. That's what I'm saying. What the crap is this? It's bullcrap, dude. It's like a really stupid exposure doc. I'm honestly excited to read this part. I mean, just look how much better formatted this is. Like, this looks like someone who actually cares about life wrote this. Oh man, I can't wait to go through this and read this, because I need to see what he has to say about this. Jeez, dude. And I can't... Also, apparently, that's his real name. Like, they doxed his real name in this, right? Okay, and here's proof that he sent the money, but not any proof of him, like, actually asking for sex, right? Here's more proof, huh? When? Wait, who's who? Pip Fanatic is the Anon, I believe. You made me buy you Takis on Friday, you effer. Tap screen. I shall circle Friday for you. Send me $7. You owe me 100. Okay, now see, that's not good for him to, like, want it back, right? Although, I feel like he's saying that because she's begging. But, once again, I don't have the full context, which sucks, because that's kind of the whole point of making a doc, is to give people the whole context, but whatever. I don't know your shit, son. You should have taken it, yes. One reverse image search, and I'm sure you could very easily be found, dude. See, like, this is just a concerned guy, because he knows her in real life. She is posting nudes with her face on it, and she is underage. This is an extremely dangerous game you're playing, dog. That's what I'm freaking saying. You're lucky I'm not some sex-crazed psychopath who tried to use this as blackmail against you. Yeah, I know. Like, he's saying, like, there's someone who could be... Yeah, anyways. This person, man, this person... I hope whoever wrote this doc sees it, honestly, because I have some choice words for them. Kirby got drunk, and I ended up yelling at her. Now there's a lot of tension, like a lot. Dude! And I never yelled at her before, genuinely. I don't even yell at... That's why you don't drink, by the way. Chill, I never yell at my partner like that. Like. Yes. My jaw effing dropped. Okay, well, hey, you're not my audience, okay? Dude, you are a minor. That's what I'm saying. Actually, I'm 19, and, yeah, that's just a complete lie. You just completely lied to him. You are 17 or younger in those photos. So, no, you are a minor. He is right. Nudes is insane. What are we... I think he's right in this situation. Maybe this is controversial. I hope it's not controversial, But I think he's right in this situation. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even think I need to see this to make my opinion. That I'm pretty sure this dude is in the right in this particular situation. And this person leaked their email, so hopefully that's not an issue. And yeah, he paid her. It is kind of messed up. He asked for his money back, but I mean, it really seems like he was only doing that because she's begging him. And he said that to be like, oh yeah, I already pay you a lot of money, man. Like what? All right, let's go to Anon 2's experience, which is thankfully much shorter, and then we'll go on to the evidence, and then we'll check out the response to that. Hello, I also wish to remain anonymous, so I will just start. My part of this story is more side-based. As another person who's encountered him and thankfully hasn't had a relationship with him that's been deep enough to get as much trauma as the others, but just enough that I could double down and solidify the points being made about him. I met him through Anon. What is Anon? Oh, is that whatever. And have known him for, okay, I'm just gonna assume Anon is just like some online thing. I've known him for, I'd say, like 2 years now. I used to be in a very low point in my life, similar to how he always claims he himself is, and went to him to confide about a personal situation. I don't exactly remember why, but we had a disagreement about something, and he decided to take my business online, post it, put it over a gameplay, and mock me by saying something along the lines of, "Whiny bitch complains about her life, part 6. Again, dude, I need the Gigafly for times like these. I need like a... Sorry, this is so rude. Yeah, that's a rude thing to do, but also it'd be really funny if I just had like a Gigafly effect or something for that. Again, he himself is one to parade his mental health around and make it seem very dire. Yet he makes a mockery of other people's personal life when he chooses it's in his defense to do so. And on top of that, recording someone during a vulnerable moment without them knowing has to be the equivalent of recording back shots with them meta glasses. What? Be equivalent to recording back shots with them meta glasses. Or I'm tripping. I don't know. Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. But, I mean, considering he's being accused of everything, honestly, I don't blame him. You know, if I ever became a YouTuber with, like above 1,000 viewers, I would document literally everything I do in life. That is not equivalent. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a good thing to do, but it's definitely not the same. Anyways, the second situation I had with him was when I had a class with him and I had an empty lip gloss tube. It was the kind with the sticks, so like okay, so this person knows him in real life too? I would assume. I think, right? They met online and then it turns out they know each other IRL. Is what it sounds like. I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth or anything. I had an empty lip gloss tube. It was the kind with the sticks, so like genuinely once it's done it's useless. Okay. See, there's over-explaining and there's under-explaining, and I feel like this document has somehow managed to do both, right? Like, you've got the whole under-explaining thing, like a bad timeline of events, and then you've got stuff like this where it's like, yeah, I know what lip gloss is. Lip gloss. As I was about to throw it away, he took it out of the trash, but still decided to ask if he could have it. I said sure, because what use do I have for my own trash, you know? But I was curious and decided to ask what he would use it for, and he said my personal use. It's lip gloss, dog, with an odd and suggestive smile on his face. Okay. What type of smile is an odd and suggestive smile? Again, I ignored and came to find out that sometime later, when I decided to ask what he was using it for, he said that I don't want to know and that I was a good soldier. That's freaky. I think this is the part, though, from what I've heard, this is the part, though, that he just completely denies. Like, this is basically completely made up, and there's no proof of it, so it's like, it might not be completely made up, but how are you going to prove that, He's going to shove that lip gloss up his... Yeah, probably. Double, anyways. Here's the fun part. My last segment on this entire situation was about how uncomfortable you made me feel just by being in my own skin. And by that, I mean being a girl. So this must be like the other girlfriend, right? Because, anyways. One time I was on my period and was getting annoyed, and he asked why I was acting like that, so I explained that again I was on my cycle. He proceeded to say, I would love to be a girl on my period because then it gets extra wet. What? I hope so bad that that's not real, because that is terrible. But also, I also hope that's not real, because that's totally something I would say to my friends, you know. I brushed it off because I already wasn't in the mood, and continued on with my day. On an entirely different occasion, I had my younger cousin over and said they were jumping on my back, and he said, boy or girl? What? I don't even want to read that. Boy or girl? No, either way it's hot. In no way or form do I share my interest of fetishizing children. Okay, so this one was over messages, so this one should have proof, and if it doesn't, I call BS. Do I share the interest of fetishizing children as he does? So I was again very confused as to why he decided to say that. Last but not least, I was in a class with him again, and he was wanting to buy a drink and was asking me for money for the vending machine. I said, you have to do something for me to want to give it to you. Obviously something like in exchange for a snack or something. But instead he gets down on the ground on all fours and starts to beg for money and calling me mommy in front of all the other people in our class. Not only was I highly uncomfortable, but again, just another situation that was uncalled for and felt very fetishy and awkward. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry. I wouldn't actually say that to my friends. Okay, so that's that. Let's check the evidence now. This is where I talk about my experience more in depth with evidence after talking to others. I'm also very disappointed to add that a lot of the victims in this situation were scared into hiding. Scared into hiding? Jeez, you're acting like he's like a boogeyman of how much imperfect has threatened them, so I will be speaking with their permission on their behalf about some of these things as well. I sincerely apologize to the other people who had to deal with this behavior. In this section, I will go through the things that are worth mentioning due to being very impactful on my situation. And I would first like to go over his spending. This was one of the major things he used to lie about me with, and it became one of his core points during personal arguments at times. He'd be quite confident about the fact of me using him for money when he'd spam me with nitro gifts when I wished for distance. Love bombing. Yeah, obviously, like, using... I wish I could zoom in on this. Hang on. Obviously, it's not good to buy gifts for someone and, oops. There we go. Okay, it's not good to buy gifts for someone and then use that, like, against them, like, ever, basically. You should never do that. But what else isn't good is making a document and leaking someone's name and, you know, making it public, you know. It really should have just been dealt with in private, right? Like, at the very worst, if you can't, like, talk it out with him, just block him, leave him alone. Right, I know, like, he has a platform, but, like, none of this is really worth deplatforming someone over. Like, it's not great, but it's not really worth, like, destroying someone's life over, you know? Anyways. Kirby, why don't you respond? Okay, so this is him, then. This is Imperfect. This is his current Discord account. The issue with this is that they're always, like, changing Discord accounts because they're online all the time, so, like, they're always, like, changing their name and stuff, and it gets a little hard to follow. Hang on, I need to ban this person from my chat. Ban. Sick. Okay. Yeah, so it's basically just him begging, make me really happy. That's kind of sweet. And yeah, he gave her a bunch of nitro, which, I mean, that's, like, weird, but, I mean, she literally made that, yeah, anyways. It's, like, sweet, though. Like, if you're not using it as, like, some sort of, like, some way to, sorry, I'm trying to put my thoughts into words. It's a very difficult thing to do. If you're not using the gifts as some way to, like, get leverage against someone, then I'd say that's actually pretty sweet, but apparently that's not what happened, so we will see. Screenshots show the dates related. There are no... Oh, Saturday, July 11th. Okay. So this was recent then. This was like... So they were dating really recently. This isn't like something that happened forever ago. This is like very recent stuff. Which is like kind of the opposite of what I've feel like they've been leading us to believe, which is probably unintentional, but like still, you know. Bro will have his life destroyed on Discord. No, it's not. You have to understand, this guy makes his money, his livelihood, from making music for very popular Roblox games. By taking that away from him, you are making him lose his job. Like, normally I'd be like, yeah, it's just a Discord thing, it's not a big deal. But in this situation, his job is literally online and is very intertwined with Discord. And you are taking his livelihood away from him by doing this, you know, like, anyways, we should take his job? Why? He's being, like, falsely accused, man. Well, maybe not even falsely accused, but it's not something worth, like, ruining, like, you know, like, this is, like, serious stuff, you know, like, if you're accusing someone, like, online, and their job is online, you have to understand that you are damaging their reputation, and potentially the question you should be asking is why not, because that's a terrible thing to do. Maybe someday you'll understand when you have like a family to support. And not that this guy has a family yet, he's only a little younger than me, but like, I mean, he's 18. A lot of these people, a lot of people who end up this way had some sort of abusive relationship with their parents, right? And so being able to move out as soon as possible is something that's probably very important for him, if that is the case. Not that I don't want to make too many assumptions. It's just a common trend I've seen with like the type of person who tends to be on Discord all the time. And that's not me trying to be insulting or anything. That is literally just me pointing out like a common consistency I've seen between cases like this. It's like, if you are taking away his livelihood, you're ruining his life, you know? Like, this is what he does for a living. He makes music. That's, I mean, one would assume his passion. And by posting this, you are ruining his reputation, which is directly intertwined with his job. Like, you can't be making stuff for popular games if you are a controversial person. And by controversial, I mean nobody likes you because you got your life ruined by someone posting things that are, in the end, kind of inconsequential, you know? Anyways, these screenshots are smaller because they aren't major messages, but you understand what I had to deal with. For better context, in this situation, he had gotten quote-unquote drunk as a way to deal with his parents stressing it. Yeah, see, right there. Literally the next line was parent stuff. Drunk as a way to deal with his parents stressing him. I did not believe this because we had an argument prior, and I put this information in quotes because drinking is something I've been doing to cope for years. I was groomed into it by someone who used to live in my house when I was 14 to 15. See, this person too also has abusive relationships with family. It's just a common occurrence among these things, you know, like it's not me trying to be offensive, it's just the way it is. He knows about this trauma and how much I begged him not to do anything like that. I mentioned how I begged because this is something he'd threaten or hint at doing when I didn't want to talk to him, or we'd argue, even asking the public about things like edibles. Yeah, drugs, like stay on track here and on two. This isn't an on two anymore. This is back to the original poster, and this is the evidence section, you know. Substance abuse is not a good thing, and if you are struggling with it, there are things to help you, like resources. I don't know how good they are because, you know, me personally, like, I've known people who have struggled with it, but I've personally never really had any issues with that. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is there are things out there to help. Google's a great resource for finding those things. Anyways, he later insulted me when I began drinking after an argument full of deflection, saying it was sad, as if he didn't break down to me when I was uncomfortable with him drinking for attention. I will show this breakdown text in a moment. I would like to show this conversation first. You know, I'm so sorry about how this is spaced. I hate docs. Please just scroll all. Okay. I told you I was dragged into a four-person confrontation with zero prep time. Angry about it. Just gonna stop responding. Okay, so once again, this is like one of those arguments they were talking about where it's like she gets stressed, and instead of being like, hey, I'm not in a good space to talk about this, can we like talk about it later, she's just like, yeah, I'm leaving. I don't want to deal with this right now. And then you don't end up dealing with it anyways, and then the problems just pile up. Like, yeah, I mean, like I said, substance abuse is a bad thing, but I don't think you should pin it all on him because there's clearly issues on both sides here. I also don't think you should pin it all on Kirby/Sunny. But I like, this is just like the convolutedness of having a relationship, right? Like, hopefully they're not this bad most of the time, but like this isn't something you can just say, oh yeah, he was the bad guy here. Like, no, you're both bad. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm pinning it on both of them. Yeah, exactly. That's what you should do. You did it to make me feel bad. I didn't. Like you said, Israel, we aren't the same. I'd like to see the posts of when he got drunk and was guilting her for it, because she didn't show, or I guess he didn't show that. They're gay. They're gay lovers. Yeah, because the person who made this doc did not show those screenshots, and I would like to see it, because I have a feeling they could have possibly been misinterpreting. Yeah, whatever. It was upset because with the what? Of my money my parents took from me. Yeah, okay. No insults thrown at you. I told you it's sad, because it is. I mean, yeah, that's not really an insult. I mean, yeah, a lot of this is just like stuff. Yeah, anyways. I'm not going to comment on like every little thing here. I mean, basically it's just like, yeah, they have issues about substance abuse. They should both get help for it, but instead neither of them do. And then there's like a lot of contention between them because of miscommunication. It's important to know he does not drink, smoke, or anything like that, or so I thought. You'll read what? But you just said he was like using drinking. Okay, wait. So you thought he doesn't drink, smoke, or anything like that, but at the same time you just said he was using that as like a way to like guilt you. Oh my gosh. Okay, right. He does not drink, smoke, or anything like that, or so I thought. You'll read later on in the other sections. So it sounds like, okay, whatever. We'll get to it, I guess, in the later sections. Sorry, I hit my microphone. So for him to do this during the time I was trying to separate myself after an argument was really odd for me. Yeah, I already said that, actually. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. It's also just worrying. He continues to say it was because of his parents, but that's really hard to believe with the timing and how he had already been behaving prior to this. I had already had a lot on my mind, compensating if I truly wanted to keep this going. Compensating? They probably meant contemplating. Contemplating if I truly wanted to keep this going. And I also believe it's important to mention that during this entire time, I was in the process of getting birth control for him. The hormone pills I had to take prior made me very emotional. Why does he need birth control? If these two are dating, and they're both men, oh, whatever. Maybe we'll get around to that, or who knows, maybe it won't, because this doc is all over the place, right? And I barely got a proper break, even during one of the most painful periods in a few months. Wait, okay, so she has periods. So it is a girl. Is it a girl? Okay, well, it doesn't matter, really. Wait, but then why is she getting birth control for him if she's having... Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Just convolutes the whole thing. Just cut that whole part out. Not important. The entire thing was very scary, and especially just overall pondering if this was really what I wanted to do with him. He had held it up against me for even hesitating in the beginning, and even said this would have all been useless if I changed my mind about giving him my virginity. I wasn't sure how to necessarily move into this because it's just a heavy topic for me, and as I've struggled with getting assaulted and abused before. He knew this, but was still very pushy about it. But back to the main point, it just scared me. Okay, so that's kind of on him. Like, if you know that's going to be an issue in a relationship, like, this is a cool thing to say, but don't date someone who you know has been abused. And that might sound cruel to the people who have been abused, but trust me, if someone decides that beforehand, that that's going to be an issue, and they don't date you, that's better than finding that out while you're dating them, you know? But I digress. But back to the main point, it just scared me how adamant he was about this. It seemed more like a debt rather than a choice. Just once again, bad decisions all around. I eventually admitted to him he was just not the person I wanted to give that to, and I'm very glad I made that decision. Seeing all of these things he used to say to people, even going as far as to hint at topics such as CNC, which for the uninitiated is consensual non-consent, which is basically like, how do I explain this without getting demonetized? It's like free use, basically. Like, it's like rape without it actually being rape, you know? I was genuinely terrified to... It's like consensual rape, which I know sounds like an oxymoron, but it like makes sense if you know what it is. But anyways, I was genuinely terrified to even think of being in the same bed as Imperfect. Why are you still dating him then? That's my biggest question here. Why are you still dating him throughout any of this? Like, this is clear. There are clearly red flags. And my question is, if you really feel this way, why are you still dating him? This is the only excuse... This is the only evidence I have of this, which is honestly good enough for me to feel uncomfortable, but I discussed it further privately. Pass out, maybe? You want to claim you like minds like that? Ooh, yeah, I'm not reading that, bro. You can read that if you want. I'm not reading it. It's just like sex talk, basically. Demonetized. Hey, I'll have you know, I can get subscriptions on Twitch. I can run ads on Twitch. I just have them turned off because I think that's stupid to run ads on live streams unless there's like designated breaks, like bathroom breaks or something. It had already been enough that during our first time together, there was something that happened that caused a panic attack for me. And even though he apologized... Oh, I do need to set up Twitch alerts, though. Sorry. How do you know this freak crap? Because of all the drama stuff I read. He would later deflect that it ever happened, stating that he was apologizing because he felt like he had to and make me feel better, but basically saying he doesn't need to apologize for that. I'm not going to share my opinion. I don't even want to show that on screen. That is something that definitely should have remained private. Like, that screenshot should not have been shared. Like, regardless of context, that is a very, very personal screenshot. At the time of bringing up this incident, I was very dismissive of it due to trying to understand how it is for a man to be hormonal. I would later realize how wrong it is. Okay, I will say, a lot of people use this excuse. Being hormonal, like, yes, men are biologically more horny than women are, but that's not an excuse to be a creep, okay? Just putting that out there. I would later realize how wrong it is, and especially after talking to someone he knew IRL, there's just no excuse for it. He had gone out of his way to harass and even lay hands on women. Why did you not mention this before? Oh, unless they're talking about the anonymous, like, he held her hand, because I definitely would have put that a bit more gently. Like, lay hands on women sounds like rape. No, what he did was he grabbed his friend's hand. Which, you know, if your friend's uncomfortable with that, that'd be a good thing for them to specify, but they never did. You can't just go back now and be like, yeah, actually, that was he raped me because he touched my hand and I didn't say no. That's not to say the lack of no is consent, but that is to say, like, if it was clearly okay at the time, you can't go back later and call it rape, right? And it's also, I feel like it's your responsibility to bring up if something makes you uncomfortable, right? Like, obviously, if someone's being sexual with you, they should ask first, like, if it's something that makes you okay. But at the same time, you need to specify boundaries. You can't just, like, expect them to read your mind and know what you think is acceptable and not acceptable, you know? See ya, bear. Peace. So the behavior he'd shown towards me is disgusting. This is not to undermine or ignore the times where I'd been okay with it when he properly communicated with me, so I do not want to see him use that as a shield as he did it in private. I really think that screenshot should not have been shared. I feel dirty reading that. I will now show the conversations from the day he drank. Oh, here we go. Okay. Aw. Oh, I drank a little bit, by the way. It's nothing crazy. What? Why? Huh? How did you even get that? Okay, I'm gonna keep bopping music, okay? Okay, it does sound like he's faking it, I'm not gonna lie, but I guess I haven't really been around enough drunk people, so I wouldn't know. Thankfully. Kirby, can you not see my messages? Circs. Sorry. Hi, call? It's later, I miss you loader. Curry, why don't you respond? I trued. Call me when you... Wait, okay, wait. I need to see how long this is taking place. So this is like 5:50, and it started at like 1:16. So how long does being drunk last? I actually don't know. You? Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm sorry for being annoying. I just miss you. If I fall asleep, I'm sorry. Love you. A loot. More than anything, okay? You make me really happy. You're awesome. Just like this gift. Enjoy. And then he did the gift bombing thing again. Why does he keep doing that? Surely he thought it was funny or something. Like, maybe he really was drunk. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been around enough drunk people. Don't trust my opinion on this. Yeah, so it's basically just him begging her to talk to him, her being upset that he's drinking, quite frankly, rightfully so. Like, that is something she had apparently... Oh, okay, so it gets pretty serious here. Please don't be scared, dude, I just don't know what to do. I can't even text you, dude, stop, please. I can't even text you. Now, yeah, especially if your lover's like, hey, this is something I'm really uncomfortable with. There's like grooming involved, involving like substances. If you agreed to that, that's a pretty crappy thing to do. Even if you didn't agree to it, like, there are better things to do than like suddenly getting drunk 1 minute and like, yeah, anyways. Right here I began to stress more because he'd constantly ring me while I was trying to help him. And I didn't know at the time there was an option to turn this off. I was on my iPad at the time, so it ended up overwhelming me. I'd hang up, he'd immediately ring me. He did this every time. Can't even text you. Isn't this just the same screenshot? What? Why are you drinking? No. Yeah, basically just like, you really don't need this much screenshots, right? Like, you know, actually, I will say you do need this much screenshots. You need proof. Plenty of proof. And that's good, actually. But, I mean, yeah, basically all of this is just like, yeah, he drunk, she didn't like it, and that's completely fair because she told him her issues with that, and he didn't listen. I'm sure you understand the point by now, but I will keep showing messages. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so it's just more of the same, right? Is this like half the evidence? Like half the evidence is just him drinking. And that wasn't even brought up in the original thing, was it? Anyways, only one of the few examples of him being able to... only one of the few examples of him being unable to process that I wanted to be left alone. Even stop and please... Okay, so you said he constantly never left you alone, but now you're saying this is one of the only times... see, okay, if there's truth to this... This is exactly why you don't post a public doc about it, because there are holes in your story that even someone stupid like me can notice. Like, you know, earlier you said that he was constantly not leaving you alone, even though you needed space, and you told him that. And now you're saying this is one of the only times he was never able to leave you alone. And that's just inherently contradictory, you know? Anyways. He'd later tell me he didn't even drink that much, which made me believe he just didn't care about my discomfort. Yeah, that's fair, actually. This is like one of the few fair points in this. Like, that actually is kind of a dick move. Around earlier this month, July, we were supposed to be taking a break, but he practically couldn't survive without me. Oh, he practically couldn't survive without me. Sorry. I tried talking him through it multiple times, telling him to focus on himself, but he wouldn't listen and only stressed himself out more. This was also during the time I was starting both birth control. You were on the hormone pills. We were supposed to go on a trip after this. Okay, so this is a girl, right? once again, it doesn't really matter in the context of the story, but it would be nice to know. Like, this is something you should have introduced in, like, the first paragraph. Like, the whole relationship, who you are, who they are. Anyways, we're supposed to go on a trip after this, and I had already figured he worked the dates out with this person, but he hadn't because he was rushing my period rather than just being concerned for me. Yeah, once again, that sounds like someone just, like, not understanding relationships, and being a little pushy, but, you know, anyways, regardless, lobster too buttery, steak too juicy, that type of stuff. Talking about the trip. We got 5 days tops to decide if we're going to go or not, so I appreciate if you respond. Dude, okay, we can go on the trip, but I'm more worried about the medication stuff right now. Jeez, man. If you're more worried about that, we don't have to, dude. That's, like, yeah, it's like, you don't have to worry about this. Just worry about your thing. We can go on our own trip later then, if that's fine. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the crazy one for this, but that seems like a reasonable thing to say. Like, she's worried about the medicine, so he's like, okay, let's just ignore the trip for now. Let's just like focus on that. We'll have our own trip later. That's great, you know? How would you even be able to take an actual break if you can't even handle spacious response? Wait, it feels like there's a screenshot missing between these two. Yeah, okay, there's definitely something missing here, and that's a little suspicious that they're leaving out evidence, because this one is talking about, so apparently there was like a gap in responses, and he probably got a little angry about it, which I'd say is reasonable, since also I love the Chainsmoker cat profile picture, right? That's wonderful. Anyways, because so it looks like what happened between these two, which was suspiciously left out, which makes me almost think it's not as bad as she's making it out to be, is she didn't send a message for like 30 minutes, it sounds like, and then he got mad about it, which is rightfully so, because they're in the middle of a pretty important conversation about things, and it's like, even if you have other things on your mind, like, this is important to get out of the way, right? But now she's playing the reverse victim card, where she's like, actually, this is a bad thing you're doing, and I'm the victim here. Which, you know, genuinely, how would you be able to take an actual break if you can't even handle spacious responses? I can. It's just like when you responded, I responded to you instantly, then you responded 30 minutes later, is what I'm talking about, dude. Especially when I ask a question that's just yes or no, man. I've been asking that for a bit, and I still haven't gotten a straight answer today, so I feel like an idiot for doing that. Yeah, see, like, they were in the middle of an important conversation, and she just stopped responding out of nowhere. And, you know, you could argue that, like, you know, this is online, it's not real life, but you have to realize your entire relationship's online. And that'd be like just walking away in the middle of an important discussion, right? Like, anyways, I literally told you I have D&D on both Discord and my iPad, dude. I don't really respond immediately to anyone. D&D here stands for Do Not Disturb, by the way, not Dungeons or Dragons. I guess the question is, like, he responded immediately. Like, you figure you'd be a little more urgent when in an important I don't know. They're young. They don't know what they're doing. I guess I get it. Can you at least answer me, though? This is something I'm going to plan out weeks ahead, and I'm not trying to do it last second. And since you still want to go, this is something we need to talk about. I already told you I'm more concerned about the meds right now. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. She's just like, he's like, okay, we can reschedule, and she's like, no, I don't want to reschedule. And he's like, all right, then I need you to help me with this because we don't have much more time to plan it. And then she's like, no, I'm not helping right now. I have other things to worry about. And it's like, but he needs it. Anyways. All right, did you get the thing I sent you anyways for food? What thing? I sent you 100 for food, period. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I responded to that. What? I forgo. Okay. Him randomly talking about sending me money mid-combo. Well, he was just making sure, man. I don't know. That doesn't really feel like he's using it against her. That from my perspective, right? And maybe this isn't the way the tone of that conversation was going, but from what I'm seeing, that genuinely seems like he was making sure the money got to her, and she had money for food and for medicine, since that's what she's worried about. and he's like, and she's like, yeah, he was using it against me. But it's not like he's like, there's a difference between going like, hey, I gave you $100, you should be willing to do this, and being like, hey, did you get the $100 that I gave you? You know, that just my opinion. But anyways, sorry, just contact me whenever we can call. It's starting to depress the F out of me not being able to, so I'll just stop talking till we can do that. I love you, man. I'm just stressed out. I can't keep yearning like this because all it's doing is hurting me. I'm just going to stop till we call again. I hope things go well for you this time. I genuinely love you. You're really right on the forefront that I let myself get too attached, and now I just feel everlasting dread without you. Sorry for doing that. Please stay safe. I'm going to be logging out for a bit, so if you need anything, just call my cell phone. And then she's like, dude, please relax for a bit, man. Please. It's like he's spilling his guts out, and she's like, relax, dude. And, you know, I won't lie, what he's saying here is like, you know, in the modern dating era, that could be perceived as like being too clingy. But then you just like shut him down. Like, you're just like, dude, just relax for a bit. You know, that's not a good way to deal with anyone's problems who's venting to you. I don't understand why we can't call, dude. It's been 4 days and I've been yearning really badly. And you say we might, and then we don't, and it makes me feel so awful that I just miss calling and talking to you, which, you know, like I said, their entire relationship is online, so I don't completely think that's a bad thing that he's like sad that they haven't called in a while. This feels more like a breakup than a proper break, and I can't help but feel extremely... Okay, so this is during their break. I can't help but feel extremely crappy when I just want to help, dude. I just want to talk, dude. We don't even say good morning. I feel bad for this guy, man. Like, I can't lie. This is just like sad. Like, he's saying all this stuff, and then she's like replying with like, "Okay, dude." Like, what do you? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I feel for this guy. Like, I really wish if she did not like him, she would have just said that, right? It's like, why at this point are you still leading him on if you're feeling how you say you're feeling in the doc, right? I eventually just gave up like I always had because it was never worth the hassle to try and help him pull through anything. He's constantly negative and clingy on top of that. We were on call 24/7, so I took a lot of advantage of this break. The day prior, he had confronted me because I was online all night, accusing me of sleeping with someone. My iPad was on because I fell asleep with it on. I will show the conversations before and during this. I mean, I can see your message and no, not really. Are you hungry? I feel sick, like nervous. I don't know if I can eat right now. It's okay. If you're still awake when we call, there will likely be more stuff open by then, so we can just look what happens. I'm going to keep trying. Love you. Fine. Hey, I'm going to get in bed. Do you think we could call now? Are you still awake? Sorry, I'm here. I've been watching Reels with a friend. Oh, sorry. It's okay. I'm sorry I didn't see your messages. Could we call soon, please? I just really want to talk because we haven't all day. Please. I really don't want to sound pushy, but I've really wanted to for a bit now. I mean, the question is, did she say she'd call him earlier today? Because, I mean, that's kind of a dick move, but... Anyways. You're not seeing my messages again. Hello, I'm going to call you one more time. Right, and then she responds, wait, okay, are you okay? Why are you spamming me like this? Genuinely, what's wrong? Just want to call. I'm sorry, it's late, and yeah, and I didn't know if you didn't see my messages. Can you please join? I just don't want to, right? Like, just say that earlier. Say you don't want to call right now, like, instead of just sitting there, like, dodging it, you know? It's going to be awkward for me. What do you mean? Genuinely, it's really late, and you said we could sleep call. Yeah, and she according to this, she said they could call. So, yeah, that's just dipping on him is kind of rude. It's really late. That's an old comment. Oh. Okay, so my mom is like, her stream is super delayed. So, like, that message where she said ew is like that was like talking about something completely different, and she's just now hearing my response to that. Wow. Okay. What do you mean? Genuinely, it's really late, and you said we could sleep call. It's 4 a.m. for me, so I was preparing to go to bed, but waiting for you. You've been completely avoiding me, and I'm noticing, and it's really upsetting, because I know you said we'd talk less, but I didn't think you'd just outright not want to talk at all, especially after you said we could sleep with each other. Sleep with each other, and it's like a Discord call, bro. Sorry for bothering you. Just wanted to talk about my day. Just like, I'm on Roblox. Like, this is terrible, man. This is hard to read, honestly. As someone who has been in like this person's situation, just like much less bad, but like I've had a similar experience, it's like, it's honestly a little heartbreaking, I'm not gonna lie. I just drew and made music, but I really want to talk, man. Dude, please. Dude, Kirby, pick up. Dude, stop, please. I'd be more willing to call if you weren't spamming me, dude. I told you I wanted space. This is not space. Imagine if this was an actual break. Yeah, now she's snapping at him, instead of, you know, like at this point she doesn't like him, and that's clear, and instead of telling him that, she is like, just straight up being like, yeah, you suck, man. And she's pretending she still might like him. And the truth is, if you want to date someone and they're like, okay, I'll date you, but I need time, really, that time is spent for them trying to convince themselves to like you, because they originally don't like you, and they're just, and then they're like, okay, but I promised him I'd date him, and I can't just shut him down now. Yeah, it's just like a way to avoid like a messy shutdown, you know, like a messy rejection. But then you get stuff like this where it's like you're in a relationship where it's like, you know, you clearly never had feelings for the guy. It's like you'd be better off just going with the messy rejection, you know. It doesn't, yeah, anyways. And you know, I can't even completely say it's her fault. Like, I know people do stuff like that all the time without like really realizing the harm they could be causing. But there really comes a point where you need to be like, okay, I really don't like this dude. I'm going to tell him that I do not like him. Like, he's sending paragraphs, right? And she clearly does not reciprocate how he feels in these messages. There comes a point when you have to tell him that, right? Stop leading him on and be like, I don't think it's going to work out. I don't like you. Instead of being like, hey, let's take a break because I need a break. It's like, yeah, like pretty much all this stuff is just like, yeah, anyways. This is the part where I fall asleep mid-convo and he began spamming me and my phone. Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a lot of... Okay, mobile receipts. I'm going to go ahead and put the other ones here as well. Back to the Discord messages. This just bothers me. It's like just... Anyways, this is even more absurd to me, especially considering one of the victims said that every time we'd argue, he'd go to them and ask to sleep call. Now that is crazy if you consider like sleep calling cheating, which, I mean, this guy clearly does, but I mean, it's literally just sleeping on a call. I don't really think it is personally, but like, anyways, I think it really depends on the context, actually. Like, calling a friend and talking to them and falling asleep, like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Anyways, yeah, I mean, this is all just more of the same, right? It's like, he likes her a lot more than she likes him, and she's taking it out on him instead of breaking it off. I told him we could talk a bit during the break, and if I was ever comfortable enough, we could call once or twice. This obviously did not happen. More screenshots. You know, not of any of the stuff that I think actually needed screenshots, but, you know, we got this whole conversation of, you know, him being, like, clingy. Apologize for the terrible spacing, but we were unable to take a genuine break because of this. Just block him, man. You don't like him, just block him. It is infinitely better in almost every scenario to tell someone you don't like them than to lead them on like this. Here's more from that break. I had been joking about one of my ex's friends being a weirdo. I cut them off and did some really stupid crap to make fun of them, and it accidentally ended up sending stuff to him, which I will not show here because it includes someone's face in it, but I will include in the related screenshots. What? So you... Okay, I hope this isn't as bad as it sounds. Can we honestly... I did just wake up, but it's up to you. We can't talk, sorry. I just don't want to call right now. I'm cranky and still kind of pissed. I was too mad to fall asleep. Did something happen? I'm sorry. Also, your Instagram PFP really sucks. Kirby? I like that. Like, did something happen? Oh, I hope you're okay. Oh, yeah. By the way, your Instagram profile picture, it's ass, bro. you gotta change that shit. Sorry, are you okay? PFP thing made me laugh, so LOL. I would like to know what this is censored, but yeah, anyways. And she liked it, yeah. You said you could explain it to me. Oh, well, I'm still curious. Whoa. Okay, well, that is... Not reading that. Oh, wow, okay. That was... like, less than a month ago. That was this month. Did you Kirkify the fella? Oh, okay, so the picture she sent was... like her ex, Charlie Kirkify. Oh my gosh. And I guarantee you, this lady doesn't actually care. I think she's like I did some really stupid crap to make fun of them. I don't think she actually cares that she did the Charlie Kirk thing. I think she's just saying that so that she doesn't get backlash from the doc. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, because remember, this was less than a month ago. This was this month, literally 24 days ago. I doubt within that frame of time she's suddenly like, oh, I really shouldn't have Charlie Kirked that guy. I shouldn't have done it. No, I think she was virtue signaling to people who may potentially get mad at her for it, so that people will still take her side, even though she said that. That's crazy, dude. I did not expect it to take a turn like that. Gonna try sleeping soon. Talking to Blank about the trip. This then leads into the spam calling, with him being concerned if I'm sleeping on call with someone. Oh, okay. Well, interesting. An artist that draws pure goon slop dissing a kind of bad music artist. Hashtag you got it, bro. You jerk off to my art and pictures of me and use... What? What is the context of this? Okay, so... Why is this included here? I will switch to my main. Do not play this game with me. Honorable mention of him threatening me to make something public. He never specified, and seeing the way he threatened other girls, he likely could have been referring to said pictures of me. I applied on my NSFW alt here. Why do you have an Why do all these minors have NSFW alt accounts, dude? These parents gotta pay more attention to their kids. This is crazy. Okay, so this is about as far as I can read. Another thing I want to talk about, I think it's important for me to talk about where his money was truly going as opposed to blaming me. I would assume this goes back to his bad spending habits that they were talking about, which is actually addressed in here. But I can't read this on stream for obvious reasons. Be wary as this section contains both censored and uncensored 18+ content. I'm a little worried because I think I accidentally scrolled down there earlier on stream. I hope I didn't show anything that'll get me banned, but if I did, Twitch please, it was an accident, I'm sorry. I didn't even know this was going to be in this doc, honestly. So, yeah, basically all you need to know is he was spending money on pornography and illicit material, and he addresses that in his Setting Things Straight Google Doc. Which is what we'll be reading now, because we have gone through everything I can on stream. How do I, like, reset size? One sec. Reset. There we go. Oh, no, it's too small. Okay, there we go. Alright, here's the response document. And this one looks a lot shorter, thank goodness. But it also looks, quite frankly, in my opinion at least, far more professional. And it has not been taken down by Google, but I did actually make a copy of it, in case it did. Okay, so there are screenshots, they're just in it. Okay, well, anyways, we'll start reading. Now, this is the response from the guy who makes the music, who is getting alleged, I don't know. Oh, yeah, and for context, I think he's about to talk about it, but he actually started making this before this document was even released. So he supposedly knew he did something wrong, and so the things he addresses in that are that, and obviously she's not exactly innocent either, but yeah, we'll see. Hey, I got some wind of a document that's to be made on me. I want to discuss the context of what could possibly be released to my knowledge currently. I will also clarify, because I am aware not everyone will read the entirety of the document, I am in therapy and actively getting help regarding my addiction to explicit content alongside other crap, more specifically dramas, that have happened in the past couple of years. I'm also not a perfect person. Okay, so apparently there was some other drama that happened before this too. Anyways, I'm also not a perfect person. I'm going to be as transparent as I can about my actions. Imager links will be included for redundancy and or in case the document breaks in the future. Others are here for proof/clarification. Please read through every image in these links. Hopefully it will warn me if there's going to be stuff that'll get me banned, but we'll see. Firstly, the document contains screenshots of a screen recording. Oh, okay, so it must be, okay, so, the screen recording must be of the Anon2 who got into his account, or was it the Anon, well, the person who got into his account and was like, yeah, they were consuming pornography. Anyways, this document contains screenshots of a screen recording of someone going through an alternative email of mine, more specifically going through my activity buying and consuming explicit content. I don't feel it's exactly necessary to go into the full extent of what these emails contain. However, they do include more out there fetishes that the average person may not be into. That's crazy that instead of that these days, instead of it being weird to have an email full of porn, it's weird to have an email full of porn with specific fetishes, I like how, I mean, I don't like it, but I think it's funny how these days, that's the issue here. Not the porn or anything, but the fact that the fetishes he likes are out there, Anyways. But for transparency, it is financial domination. This is something that I've been struggling with for a while. More specifically, engaging with, consuming, and seeking out this content. It's something I'm not proud of. Around a year ago, I was particularly worse in regards to my explicit content consumption, but between then and now, I've still been struggling with this addiction. However, I've been getting better at avoiding consuming and seeking it out. I had a momentary relapse within the last couple of weeks into seeking this content out. Okay, no explicit images will be attached, however, this is proof of what I was previously engaging in. Okay, so it's probably safe to open. Oh, it's just the same image. Okay, well, I'm going to read through all of them because that's what he told me to do. Yeah, so I guess it's just receipts for all his porn. Yeah, you might also notice the dates of these incoming emails and notice how recent they are. Just because they happen to be relatively recent does not mean that I'm outright avoiding recovery regarding this issue. Recovery does not look like a step-by-step process. You will have moments where you falter in recovery and relapse momentarily. It does not mean I am not trying. That is true. Kudos for this guy for trying, Additionally, this shouldn't have become public in the first place. It becoming public only serves to defame me and humiliate me. That's what I'm saying, dude. There's no reason any of this had to be public, honestly. I was doing something privately among myself and other adults. There would be a problem if I was potentially endangering others and myself. However, that was not the case and never has been the case. This does not matter. I do think that it hurts. I don't think that it hurts anyone but myself by engaging in my addiction. Well, okay. It doesn't hurt any... It's nuanced, okay, right? You are hurting yourself the most, but you're also hurting any pornography actresses who have been roped into doing it kind of against their will or because of a drug addiction. You are hurting your potential relationships, which I guess kind of is yourself. But anyways, I don't completely agree with this, but I do get what he's saying, that was not the case and never has been the case. That's more of just an issue with porn in general. One guy stopping is unfortunately not going to change that. This does not matter. I don't think that it hurts it. Okay. This does not matter. I don't think that it hurts anyone but myself by engaging in my addiction. If I brought other people into it, that's entirely fair. But by everything in my email being brought up, this has always stayed private and should have been kept that way. This is really embarrassing, but regardless, it's something that should be brought up ever since I was informed that people were going to come out with information on this. Fair enough. Secondly, my most recent relationship with Kirby, who is the person who wrote the doc. Whoa. Brunch for lunch. Their alternate names are Brunch for Lunch, Giggle Effing, Kerbut, and Roach Boig. Hopefully that's not like some kind of slur. However, I will specifically note that with this account, it is her not safe for work account, but it is being mentioned here as she did vague posts in an official document, are we for real, about me on there. This was never meant to be public. I'm only mentioning him. So it is a guy. What? No, okay. I specifically wrote it. She did vague post about me on there. This was never meant to be public. I'm only mentioning him. Our relationship with each other and the breakdown of said relationship because she was good. So is it like she, him? Does she just use she, him pronouns then? I'm so confused. Gender ideology confuses me, I'm not gonna lie. And the breakdown of said relationship was because she was going to publicize it herself. I will mention that we have a 1 week age gap. My birthday is December 9th, 2007. And his is December 17th, 2007. It's crazy that I'm older than both of these people, you know? Like, this is something I would have expected to see. Like, that's nuts, man. That's nuts. Anyways. Okay, bro. Watch out, bro. There's some ugly-ass people with big-ass egos out there. Stay safe, yo. And this is a post about the guy making this doc, Imperfect. Bonus points if they're Eagles. So, like, yeah, she broke up with him. It didn't go well. After leading him on, she broke up with him and then posted about him on her private, it's not even private, just a not safe for work Twitter account. Bonus points if their ego is so fragile they need to pay people to laugh at the jokes they use from others. Anyways, more porn soon. Yay. This is what I mean by, like, modern relationships are just cooked, dude. I'm worried I will never get married because of this shit. Yeah, okay, that's just the same image. Laying out the timeline of our relationship here. Here we go. This is what I wanted from the other doc. We started speaking in December 2015 when I had commissioned her to draw some art. And that's when we first started talking as friends. Okay, so she's a porn artist. He commissioned her for art, and then she's surprised that he is buying porn. That's okay. My friends in a VC made an offhanded comment/joke about how we'd be good with each other, and thus I decided to make genuine attempts to pursue her. We both reciprocated feelings with one another, but Kirby reiterated that he wasn't ready for a relationship yet, which I respected. We began talking from that point. Man, she, he pronouns. Sorry, I'm just trying to get myself used to a thought. It's such like a foreign concept to me. She, he. Not trying to be discriminatory or anything. It's just like, yeah, anyways. Kirby reiterated that he wasn't ready for a relationship yet, which I respected. We began talking from that point. We began talking from that point on more intimately, but we never started dating until April 10th. Okay, so the 4-10 was the date they started dating. That really should have been made a little more clear, but whatever. When we first met up. During that time of talking, we had we had a multitude of quarrels with each other, but at least for this, I will only mention the primary and most relevant conversations. I know myself that I did not try to guilt her into keeping quiet about these things, as again, I knew I was wrong for certain things that I had done. Okay, now this is going to tell us what the confrontation was. Finally, confrontation. A good chunk of our serious conversations/interactions were in voice chat, which makes proving these things a little harder. So please keep in mind when I mention certain things, it's not there's a lack of evidence. Moreover, the evidence that these things happened is limited to happening within a call. This is why I would just straight up document everything, man. I would document everything if I was in any position of power. However, there is a call that was recorded, but it was not recorded in its entirety. Because of the fact it was mainly clips rather than a full unedited recording, which I also do not have direct access to, I suspect they might frame this call in bad faith. To be honest about the way I acted in that call, I acted extremely irrationally and nasty. This was because of the fact that I was abruptly dragged into the call with no forewarning and wasn't given any time to gather anything from my side of the situation. I was also already in a bad mood. Okay, so this is like the 4v1 thing that he was like talking about, that he was upset about. The confrontation was about me lying about her. I would exaggerate things about her, the things he was doing, the way he treated me and acted towards me. These mixed pronouns, dude. I'm not mad because they're using them. I'm mad because it like makes things way more confusing. It's like when they're talking about her or he, like you don't know if it's the same person or different person. That's my biggest issue with it, honestly. It convolutes things. I don't mind that they're using the pronouns, but it's just like it's hard to follow along, you know, when it's like switching back and forth. The confrontation was about me lying about her. I would exaggerate things about her, things he was doing, like why switch here, the way he treated me and acted towards me, alongside other things regarding her. Okay, switch it again. During this confrontation, I also denied and reflected a lot of the things that were being said about both me and to me directly. I will state for the record that I did go out of my way to speak with the people that I have lied about her to. These people have since condemned me for lying about her in the first place. Okay, that's pretty good. Now that is something I would like, well, I don't know. It would be good to have screenshots of that, but at the same time, the people he's talking to, there's a solid chance they just don't want to be involved. At least be consistent when you're talking about a single person. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I had to take a guess, probably gender fluid. Yeah, and that makes sense, but it's like, if you are referring to one person in a paragraph, you don't want to be constantly switching pronouns, because that just confuses people, you know? Hey, what's up?
Do you think you could try to wrap up so we can go to the store?
Yes, okay. So I need to go to the store with my mom. So I'm gonna finish this. What?
When you find a good stopping.
Okay, so I'm gonna like finish this little section. I think probably up to the allegations point, and then I'll end stream, and then probably stream again tomorrow to finish it. Hopefully. As I was saying, I don't care if someone's gender fluid, but trying to keep a story straight while constantly switching someone's pronouns is so difficult to follow, you know. Confrontation was about me lying. Yeah, okay. I called them a lot of straight, and now they're calling them. So it's like, whatever. It just like, it takes conscious thought to actively switch the pronouns of someone in a paragraph. Like, that's not just something that happens naturally. And I guess that's my problem with it, because it's like, it feels like you're doing it specifically for brownie points, you know? But anyways, I called them a lot of straight up gross and offensive crap. I called her a bitch, and I was straight up mocking her in this exchange. I'm entirely aware I shouldn't have interacted with this way. However, I was already in a bad mood, given everything that happened beforehand. That being when I was already when I was already talking to her about everything that was going on after she was removed from the mutual friend server. Okay, we went no contact after this interaction for a short bit, though after a while we started updating each other with things that we were doing. I will mention she is the one that broke no contact. I had accidentally sent her something, but immediately deleted it and did not say anything afterwards. This led to her antagonizing me for seemingly no reason and making me put her in contact with a friend who, quite frankly, just did not want to be involved. Fair enough. If you are having to switch back and forth this much, just use they them. That's what I'm saying, man. Exactly. Just use they them, because those are gender neutral pronouns, and it would make a lot more sense if they did. But anyways. I will also say here that a good chunk of the people mentioned here have clearly stated multiple times that they did not want to be involved, hence why a lot of the names in any images of sorts are censored. I had one server that I made with the reason of trying to get away from her, especially during the moments where she would block me or completely ghost me, and the moment where we would get into an argument. I would naturally vent about her to these people, but like I've already mentioned, I've been honest with these people about the whole truth, which I've directly stated in this doc. I guess let's check this out. I don't care, man. Stop. I'm not allowing ads on your stupid site, bro. Alright, hang on. Can I hide this for a second so I don't leak anything on accident? I don't think I will. Fine, I'll turn the freaking ad blocker off. It's gonna be like porn ads and it's gonna get me banned. Okay. None of the advertisements you see in this video are sponsored by or condoned by me. It is unfortunately just a byproduct of this stupid website. Okay, later on conversation about things that happened, I ended up napping. Yeah, so this is just, I mean, this just looks like more, so this is just basically proof that when they got back in contact, no, this was before they were dating. Yeah, I'm not reading all of this, I'll be honest. I would like to, I just don't have the time for it right now. Maybe we'll go back here later. But anyways, probably could have just used inspect element. I know I could have, but that's a lot of work. It's not really a lot of work, but you know. But there's also a different recording from my own end that is recorded in its entirety of a separate confrontation that happened for different reasons. I will mention that this antagonization was mutual on both sides. I believe that. There were multiple instances where she would just randomly get angry or start insulting me in a call. I have a couple of clips where she started yelling at me for no reason. One in particular being when I asked her why a huge server of people were saying that she was using me for money. I will not post that is concerning, huh? I will not post these for the sake of privacy. Now that's suspicious. You should probably post those. She had already branded this as me recording her at her most vulnerable, when I had only taken these clips for my own protection. Once again, understandable, considering the situation you're in. I never received an apology. I will clarify that these are short clips. Okay, I just want to say the fact he was making this before she even posted this, and like posted this immediately after, this just goes to show that like he knows exactly what this girl's gonna blame him for, right? Like that's not really a great sign. Like I would say it's a sign, like now it could be a sign of like self-awareness, like knowing what you did wrong, but I think it's more likely a sign that they had been beefing for a while, and that she kept bringing this crap up, and he's like, listen, yeah, anyways, doesn't really matter, but just thought it was interesting. These are short clips. These clips are not nearly as long as she stated, and they are only snippets of what she had done. This is only the one clip that I have on her. There are a few screenshots taken after I spiraled from being drunk. I still don't believe he was actually drunk, I'm not gonna lie. She was actively in a call with her friends, and I had spammed her and made multiple attempts to call her whilst being drunk. It got to the point where I was practically begging for her attention, whilst she never told me what I was doing wrong, being upset at the fact that I drank. I feel like that's something you probably should have figured out, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, which she never told me till I outright calmed down. Even aside from being drunk, there were multiple instances where I would spam her when she would begin ignoring me, completely ignoring her boundary of wanting to be left alone. I can admit that this was wrong, but I wanted to try and resolve any kind of issue that we had at that exact moment. I pushed many boundaries when trying to get her attention during these moments, which I can admit was the incorrect way of going about it. Okay, so, I don't know when I'll be streaming again, probably tomorrow if everything goes well. I would like to finish up reading this, and you know, if that's not a long enough stream, I'll probably play something. But I have to go shopping with my mama because she had surgery and she can't do it herself. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Let me find someone to raid into. Yeah, definitely. Like, my personal opinion is that both of them were wrong, but that she really should not have made this public. Obviously, I think you should form your own opinion. Oh, I should probably hide stuff. Like, it's really, in the end, at the end of the day, it's really up to the reader to decide who's in the right here. Well, actually, no, it's not really, because they kind of tell you how to feel. But I think you can't always take people at their face value, and I think that's the moral of the story here. Is that their situations are always more nuanced than they appear to be, basically, no matter what it is. So I've got a question, chat. Is there anyone you guys like who's live who you want me to raid? Because I'm not really following anyone who's live. Go to Twitch if you want Krokins, and because that's how you get them, by raiding, type shift. You guys can't see my screen, right? No. I want to raid someone, I just don't really know who. I don't actually think there's that many people watching anyways. Who's that, are there any, like, live Geometry Dash streamers or anything? Alright, I'm probably just gonna end the stream. I have no idea who to follow, or who to raid, and I actually don't think anyone's watching on Twitch anyways. So, thank you all for watching. Subscribe and follow me, join my Discord, all that good stuff. I will see you all next time, weather permitting. Bye.